What's going on, everybody? Oh man, I forgot to change that. God damn it. I do this every fucking time. I always forget to change the fucking date on it. It's a stupid thing that I started doing. I don't know if like it's something that like I need to do, but you did subscribe. Well, I do appreciate it, brother. They recommended me the YouTube channel. That's pretty cool. Fuck it. Hey, at least I'm getting outreach at this point. I was scared that I wasn't getting anything out of it. What the fuck was I gonna do? Oh yeah, change the date. Today's date is February 12th or 19th. February 19. Images. Bada bing. Where's my snipping tool? There it is. Bang. I just gotta fucking cut this out here. Download it. Free. Okay. Image properties. Okay. Okay. Boom. There it is. At least I only have to change it in one spot. I don't have to like go all over the place and change it. which is definitely a plus. Like, even if I go over to here, changed. If I go over to here, changed. Wabang, wabang. How is everybody doing? What happened to the land of a million drums? Listen, you can't knock a Balatro, the Balatro fucking sound, alright? You can't knock it. It's so good. It is a vibe. I'm wearing my polite as fuck t-shirt, obviously, because I'm a nice guy. Definitely not mean. Oh. Well, I guess we just have a lot to go over as to what happened today in the world. I'd say Matthew Lillard and Outkast beats it. It's close. I'll give you that. But I don't think it. I don't know if it's as much as just a chill bop as this. Maybe if I'm trying to get something going and I'm trying to like start off everything, you know. But yeah. I mean, just having it play in the background like this is definitely cool. Because then you don't really have to listen to it, and also I can talk over it. It's not so in your face. It doesn't demand attention, but it is good just to have there, you know? And also, it just keeps cycling. I honestly listen to this music probably like an hour a day at least. Because like once I stop streaming and I cut up the videos or whatever, I'll then go ahead and like listen to this. Because then I'll be playing Balatro. Oh my god. Balatros definitely hypnotize you. Dude, I'm obsessed with this fucking game. Dude, I will play Balatro while I'm watching somebody else stream Balatro, and then on my third monitor, I'll have somebody fucking, or I'll have like a VOD of somebody playing Balatro. When I'm not playing, when I'm not like in an Elden Ring kick, or like if I'm not, dude, it's pretty bad. Like I have a problem. I like watching big numbers go burr. It's very satisfying to my brain. That's all I ever really want to do, you know? Yeah, dude, it is not healthy. I'll be real honest. Put the Balatro down? No. Dude, I have it on my phone, okay? Like like I'll be at work playing Balatro just to come home and play Balatro. You definitely get obsessed with a simulator game. See, like I've tried, but they're not stimulating enough. Like I don't know, like The Sims is not stimulating enough. City Skylines is too in depth. I like watching videos of those because then it's like satisfying to like watch like the buildings get bigger. And that's really the only thing that I care about. But like I can't get into it. What about something basic like Roblox Tycoon? Listen, I don't know. I haven't touched Roblox. I haven't touched Roblox. I haven't touched Minecraft. I haven't really touched I don't know. I haven't really touched those games at all. I know that they go hard. I know that they go crazy. But I just haven't touched them. All right. If you want Roblox suggestions, I'll put you on. What do you mean? What, like Roblox game suggestions, like BattleBit? I played BattleBit. There's some hidden gems. I mean, I'll try it. Fuck it, why not? I have nothing better to do. Other than fucking obviously watch this nonsense. Like right now? No, not right now. You gotta send them to me. See? Yeah, see? Nightbot knows. Just join the Discord and send them to me. Or just put them in the game chat. Well, tell me what animes you like first of all. Anime? So obviously I like Naruto, Shippuden. I didn't like the original series. I liked, let's see, I like Shippuden. I like Full Metal Alchemist. I only liked the first season of Bleach, and then after that I stopped watching it because it kind of got stupid. I don't know if Dragon Ball Z counts. Dragon Ball Super. I started watching Solo Leveling. Solo Leveling was cool. I can get you a Naruto game for sure. I don't know about Full Metal Alchemist. I know there's Dragon Ball games. Of course there is. I mean, there has to be Dragon Ball games. Solo Leveling may be a bit new. Yeah. Solo Leveling is cool though. I don't know if you've seen it. Solo Leveling is really fucking good. There's a really good One Piece game. I recently tried to start watching One Piece, but like the show started in like the 90s, so like the edge isn't there of like newer stuff, like newer animes and how like they're made. So like I didn't really appreciate it as much. Oh my god, I love the old version of the anime. Yeah, it's just like, I don't know, it just seems kind of campy. I like this, I love the art style. I hate I hate the new like anime art style that they do. Like I really wish that they could go back. Oh, obviously Berserk, like the original Berserk from the 90s. Not so much the old Berserk. Or not so much like 2016 Berserk. Berserk is like the only series that or the only like manga that I keep up with. Because it's that good. You want Berserk? Elden Ring's right there. Exactly, yeah. The only thing is, like, I still haven't, like, my buddy, he made, like, a Casca build, he made a Griffith build, he made a fucking Guts build. Have you also ever tried Hunter x Hunter? I didn't appreciate it. I like the one scene, like, I don't get, like, the premise of the show. I haven't I watched, like, the first, like, 2 episodes and then stopped. I'll be real honest. It was kind of weak. Ah, yes, that one scene. You didn't say the scene? Oh, the fucking, fucking, the one where he, like, flips out. Where Gon goes crazy, gets his arm cut off, and then puts it through the bitch. Yeah, no, I don't, dude, I'm so shot, alright? You gotta give me some leeway. Like, I'll just start rambling, and then I have to, like, take a second and be like, wait a minute. Yeah, big hair gone. Yeah, like, you have to give me a second sometimes. I have to be like, wait, hold on. What did I say? When did I say it? What are we talking about? I saw that one scene. I thought that I'd like it, and then I didn't end up actually getting fully invested into it. Hey, Colby, what do you have? Yeah. Here, let me just do this real quick. Okay, let's go ahead and get started on this. Where is it? Okay. So obviously we've had some big developments happening over the last little bit here, especially regarding our current media outlook, and what people have been saying about Trump declaring himself king, which is kind of crazy. The White House went ahead and released this post here on X or Twitter or whatever the fuck you want to call it. See here. Congestion pricing is dead. Manhattan and all of New York is saved. Long live the king. President Donald J. Trump. Why is he calling himself a king, bro? Obvious, like, is the mask off for these fucking fascists yet? Like, is this really the route that they want to go ahead and die on? Is this like really where it ends? Truly, like, people have been defending this, and it's just kind of been crazy. Like, I don't actually understand where people thought that this was like a good thing. Like, I just want any Republican to imagine just for a moment that if Obama or Biden had tweeted out "Long live the king" about anything, right-wing news would have been apocalyptic. Dude, they flipped out on Obama for wearing a tan suit, saying that that wasn't presidential enough. What about this is presidential? This is just trying to make himself a goddamn monarch. Obviously this is probably just to trigger the libs and everything like that, but this is still an alarming thing for him to say at any point in time. We want to go ahead and say like, oh yeah, we're gonna raise the flags on this guy, we're gonna stop this guy from continuing going down this path, but yet there's absolutely no resistance whatsoever from the left on this. We go ahead and we see Kathy Hochul's response, our great governor here.
At 1:01 p.m. today, the U.S. Department of Transportation emailed us a letter from Secretary Duffy announcing their attempt to end the congestion pricing program in the state of New York. At 1:58 p.m., President Donald Trump tweeted, "Long live the king." I'm here to say New York hasn't labored under a king in over 250 years. You sure as hell are not going to start now. I don't care if you love congestion pricing or hate it. This is an attack on our sovereign identity, our independence from Washington. We are not subservient to a king or anyone else out of Washington. So this is the fight we're in. We're fighting for our residents, our commuters, our riders, our drivers, our emergency personnel. Life has gotten better, even those who have asthma, people with illness. That's who we're fighting for.
Okay, so, like, that's fine and everything, but where has this messaging been since, like, the beginning? Like, bro, you've had opportunity after opportunity when he's gone ahead and he's gutted the CFPB, when he's gone ahead and stated that, people aren't people, then they're illegals. They're going ahead and trying to get Mayor of New York City, Mayor Adams, off of any sort of criminal indictment while still holding it over his head, while also firing U.S. attorneys who won't sign it. And she has the ability to go ahead and stop that from happening. She has the ability to terminate Mayor Eric Adams as governor, but she hasn't done that yet. Instead, she's gone and said, no, we're just going to have a meeting about it, and maybe later we'll talk about it. Like, no, dude. You need to have a conversation about this. You should automatically be doing it. It's already been admitted by the quid pro quo, or that it's a quid pro quo, by the person who is filing the brief to get Mayor Eric Adams' criminal indictment off of the books. It's already been shown that it was a quid pro quo by the person who's filing it. But yet, all right, listen, you can have our mayor, but we stop you at congestion pricing. Like, okay, this is such a weird reflection of what's important to you. Obviously, the citizens are not important to you. Obviously, just because he came after your money, that's important to you. Because they make so much money off of congestion pricing. In just the last month alone, it's been disgusting. That's what you care about. You don't care about, oh yeah, we have people with health and asthma that are doing better now. Like, no, dude, it's been a month. And they live in New York. The busiest fucking city, in one of the busiest cities in the world. Nothing has changed since then. Like, I'm glad that they have, like, some sort of outreach, but at the same time, this messaging is like, okay, well, we don't have a king, especially when you're coming after our money, but maybe we have a king when you're trying to control our mayor. Like, okay, we'll see him in court. Sure, dude. Okay. And it's just not, it's simply not enough. Republicans, stop overreacting and calling Trump a king. Literally the White House Twitter account. It's true. It's true, dude. And, like, that's kind of the problem here. Like, I don't really get where it's supposed to go from here. Obviously, this is a extreme turn of events. Obviously, Steve Bannon is already trying to push for a Trump third term. Like, he's already trying to do it, trying to get it into the works. If that's the case, then basically, if we still have elections, that's the same thing as Russia's doing. And if Russia is doing that, or if Trump is doing that here, then what's the point of anything else? What's the point of having a president? He's essentially just literally a monarch at that point, or a dictator.
My oath is to the Constitution of our state and of our country. We don't have kings in America, and I don't intend to bend the knee to one. My oath is to the Constitution.
Like, holy shit. I like, it goes back to how fucking inept the Democrats were during this election cycle. Like, you had this guy, you had Tim Walz. I guess if you had Kamala Harris running for longer, maybe that would have changed something. But no, this decrepit corpse, Joe Biden, had to fucking cling on to power with all of his might and just completely tank any sort of chance or opportunity to get somebody in there new with a fresh voice or a fresh face. They were clinging onto it with their teeth, and they're still not doing anything. I just don't understand. Please restore my faith in humanity. If you agree Trump should be fucking impeached for referring to himself as a king. No, I don't think he should be impeached for that. There's 20 other things that he could be impeached for. Disregarding a court order from the judge who told him to stop or to continue funding the federal programs that Congress had appropriated funds to. That's something that he can be impeached for because that's breaking the law. that's literally him breaking the law right there. And him refusing to follow the court order is just doing that further. Holy fucking shit. I don't care if it's hyperbole or any bullshit. We don't call the president king, and we certainly don't give him a crown. Normalizing this shit is insane. And this was a
this executive order.
So this was kind of a fuck you sandwich. So it's not a sandwich. So like it's more like a taco. Like this IVF thing is wrapped up in a fuck you taco. Like, hey, we're giving you IVF, but everything else, fuck you. Let's just go over it.
Lastly, we have another executive order that President Trump signed relating to independent agencies. This executive order would establish important oversight functions in the Office of Management and Budget and its subsidiary office, OIRA, supervising independent agencies and many of their actions, and also reestablishes the longstanding norm that only the President or the Attorney General can speak for the United States when stating an opinion as to what the law is.
So I hope you guys caught that.
President or the Attorney General can speak for the United States when stating an opinion as to what the law is.
Only the President or the Attorney General can speak about what the law actually is. No, that's not what there is. Their job is to enforce the laws that are continued. That's why it's called the executive branch, right? They execute the laws of the United States, right? The judicial branch goes ahead and makes sure that the laws that are being followed are either constitutional or that, you know, if there's criminal proceedings, they can go ahead and judge that. The legislative branch is to go ahead and create the laws that go ahead and follow each of these processes. Nowhere in there is he the singular arbiter of what the law is. In no way, shape, or form is that what the case is here. However, that's what he's trying to say with a proclamation, with a swipe of his pen. He probably doesn't even know what the fuck he signed, because every time he signs a piece of paper, it's this half bald-headed fuck saying whatever he signed was. So why isn't he the one saying it? Because he doesn't know what he's signing. He's just like, oh yeah, this is probably all right. Sign, sign, sign. The big D. He doesn't know what he's signing. Can you please explain to me what I'm signing here? That's why, like, especially like on his inauguration day, when he had like 40 fucking presidential actions going, just like, yep, okay, so which one's this one? Oh, this is to go ahead and make sure that everyone eats Tic Tacs? Great. What's this one? Oh, this is to go ahead and make sure that the Inflation Reduction Act that helps people in farming communities actually get better? Yeah, fuck them. Okay, we'll end that and pass it along. We're gonna stop a lot of fraud, fellas. That's what we're gonna do. Like, what are we talking about? Have we just gone mad? And to say that, like, this is not what we're seeing, you know, like, and people are gonna deny it, like, oh, that's not what he meant. That's not what he said. Okay, but I saw it with my eyes. They're right here glued to my face where I have a brain that can think. But no, that's not what we want you to do. That is not at all what we wish you to do. And like, I don't really even know where to go from there.
States of America.
And like, okay, great, but like, where are more Democrat leaders on this? I want to try to pull it up if I can. Hold on, let me do this here. What was it? Oh, help if I had it right here. So I bet that most people, even like liberals, don't really know. Like people who are outside the know, most people don't know who he is. And simply, he's the guy who's supposed to be leading and like whipping up the Democrats to go ahead and pull out a full message as to how they're going to go ahead and disrupt and distract and destroy. Well, not destroy, but like disrupt whatever it is that they want to do. Unfortunately, I just want to go ahead and see MSNBC. Unfortunately, he hasn't been doing anything. And it kind of just shows the lackluster response to anything that the Trump administration has been trying to do. They've been operating with impunity, with the ability to just say, yeah, we're just going to do everything through executive order. Why the fuck would I ever send anything to Congress? Again, if like every single day, I want to get this across to you. Every single day that Trump does not use the money on USAID, on the CFPB, the multiple foreign investments that we do have, if he continues every day to stop that, he is breaking the law. It's not hyperbole. It's not a joke. He is breaking the law every single day. Every day. But instead of doing anything about it, this guy throws his fucking hands up in the air and says we have no fucking leverage. Oh, hold on.
For their intentional strategy of flooding the zone and trying to offend all the senses and break all the norms?
Well, it's definitively an intentional strategy to flood the zone with outrage, and it has been a parade of horribles that Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and his minions have unleashed on the American people. And so we've got to be prepared to push back in an all-hands-on-deck way. What we've said in the House is that for us that means the congressional playing field, the courts, as well as pushing back aggressively in the community. And understand, particularly where we have the opportunity to win those fights, as has been the case in several instances, including in pushing back aggressively against the illegal funding freeze that would have halted Medicaid as we know it all across the country. The American people rose up members of Congress, members of the Senate, Democratic governors, and it was reversed in less than 40 hours. This administration backtracked, showing us and hopefully the country that public sentiment does matter, and there are limits to what this administration is capable of doing. We've seen that in the courts. Right now, there are more than 65 different lawsuits that have been filed related to at least 25 of the unlawful executive orders. And the American people are actually winning those lawsuits, and Donald Trump and his administration are losing. We have to keep that.
Okay, great. So let me go ahead and just also pull you up another thing here. So if so here it is from the BBC. Judge finds the White House violated court orders to stop funding freeze. The Trump administration has violated a court order by refusing to reverse a freeze of billions in government funds, a judge ruled on Monday. The ruling was the latest challenge to the sweeping White House plans to cut costs and remake the U.S. government. The U.S. District Judge John McConnell Jr. previously ruled that the government should continue to fund programs authorized by Congress. On Monday, he said the White House has defied the preliminary injunction that the judge has issued after 23 Democratic state attorneys generals filed a lawsuit to stop the funding freeze. The Trump administration said that it would be appealing the ruling. Okay, you can appeal the ruling, but you still have to let the funds go through. So Jeffrey's here sitting on MSNBC saying like, oh yeah, we filed a whole bunch of lawsuits and they're supposed to continue the funding process. They haven't done it. They haven't. It's already been ruled on that they haven't been following it. So why are we continuing to fund or file lawsuits when that hasn't been working? Obviously, it's to do everything that we can do, but everything that you're doing doesn't matter when somebody doesn't give a fuck about whatever the rule of law is. We still think that in some imaginary land, some imaginary way, that Trump is a rational person with rational thought. He is not. Unfortunately, at this current moment, he is no longer a person that has the ability, or I don't think he's no longer, I don't think he's ever had the ability to go, okay, actually, I have to follow this because it's a law. Like, he's already been proven. He's a criminal. He does not fucking care. He's gonna get shit done. So how do you stop that? You have to continuously disrupt. Your messaging has to be constant. If you want to stop funding these things, where is the bill? Show me the bill. Every single day. Okay, you want to file this executive order that violates the law. Show me the bill. Come on, show me the bill. But no, they won't do that because there's a couple of reasons why. One is that they don't want to seem as if they're anti-corporate donor. Because if they're anti-corporate donor, they lose all their funding for the next election cycle. No longer are these guys worried about what the American people need, and they're more so focused on how to maintain the status quo of just sitting in Congress, doing fuck all, and trying just to get more quote-unquote power to do nothing with. I don't know how many times the Democrats have been in power, and you hear, oh, we just can't get it done because we don't have the numbers. Even if there was a majority on the Senate, the House, and the president, why didn't we get health care back when Obama was president? Because apparently we didn't have the numbers. We didn't have the ability to get it done. It hasn't stopped Trump once from doing it. Okay, we don't have the numbers. People won't agree with it. Executive order. Oh, that executive order isn't going through, or that executive order isn't going through. Well, we'll just ignore whatever the judge says. We don't care. So what is the point of all this? The point of it is to go ahead and just do whatever the fuck he wants because he's the executive. Obviously, there is no rule-based order when you're dealing with somebody who doesn't give a fuck about the rules-based order of things. So file your lawsuits. It does fuck all.
That up. But we also have to engage aggressively with the community because at the end of the day, the American people will have to push back as it relates to their tolerance for Trump and Republicans promising to do things to improve their quality of life, but instead doing the exact opposite.
I mean, so you're sort of dealing with everything from the legality of Musk's Doge, whatever we're calling it, to the price of eggs. And I guess what I'm trying to distill is how you direct all that. Do you divide up your members? Do you divide up your days? I mean, is there, or are you really in triage and crisis management?
Well, I think it's all day, every week, every month until we get the country through this moment. Now, there's one overarching narrative, which is the Republicans have essentially pulled a bait and switch. Last year, they promised relentlessly that they were going to drive down the high cost of living.
Yeah.
As their chief promise to the American people. They now have the opportunity to do it. There's a Republican president, a Republican House, and a Republican Senate. No ideas, no plans, no program to lower the high cost of living. In fact, costs aren't going down, they're going up in the United States of America, and the Republicans could care less. Why? Because their objective actually is to pass massive tax cuts for billionaire donors and their wealthy corporations, and then third, stick working class Americans with the bill by slashing and burning things like Medicaid to the ground. And so it's all connected at the end of the day. And we've got to break through with that narrative that ties it all together for the American people and then battle it out in these different forums, in the Congress, in the courts, and in the community.
Democratic Senator Chris Murphy calls it an oligarchy. Do you see it that way?
Well, I mean, I think.
Yeah. They are slashing funding and they're creating tax cuts. Those are something that we knew that they were going to do the entire time. What the fuck are you doing about it? What are you doing? Oh, they have control. We can't do anything. We can't play the role of disruptor. This guy does not understand his actual power. He doesn't understand what he can actually do himself to change things. He is refusing to do so. Either he's refusing or he's just giving the fuck up. He's going, actually, you know what? Fuck it. Find out. Meanwhile, if I go ahead and look up another article that I read, mad at outrage. House Democrats angry at liberal groups for stirring up division in party. House Democrat, this is from Wednesday, last week. House Democrats and party leadership have expressed frustration with progressive groups like Move On and Indivisible for putting pressure on members, according to a new report. People are pissed, a House Democrat told Axios on Tuesday. The Democratic lawmaker also said that the House Minority Leader, Hakeem Jeffries, was personally very frustrated with the groups for attempting to provoke leadership into a more aggressive anti-Trump approach to politics. Can I just remind you? I just need to remind you. These are the same fucking people. Hold on. These are the same fucking people that since 2016 has told us that Trump was Hitler. Now, I do believe that because he's acting like that. However, you cannot sit there and say, oh, this guy, he's like Hitler. Oh, he won? Okay, well, I guess we should start working with fucking Hitler then. Great. Fantastic. What a wonderful fucking idea. What are we doing? What do you mean? Obviously, when they go ahead and report these things, it's because they want it to get out. They need it to get out. But they are still not doing anything about it. Oh, we're very frustrated that you guys won't trust us. Well, I wonder fucking why. Like, what do you mean? There are a lot of people who are like, we've got to stop the groups from doing this. People are concerned that they're saying we're not doing enough, but we're not in the majority, one Democrat told Axios. Other Democrats have been directing increased calls from constituents concerned about President Donald Trump's policies. Is it true that Trump's trying to remove the penny? Yeah, that is. He'd signed an executive order for that. Trump penny ban? I don't. We'll just do that. Another executive order that he needs congressional approval on. President Trump's order is latest in the decades-long effort to eliminate the penny. This week, President Trump became the latest U.S. president to say that he wants to kill the penny. Both Republicans and Democrats have tried and failed for decades to get rid of America's 1-cent coin, NPR and financial correspondent Maria Aspen reports. I feel like that will hurt. That will somehow still negatively affect the economy. So it takes 3 cents to make 1 penny. I don't really think that we need a penny. It's not really something that's really in use. I mean, when do you ever use a penny? You know, like it's something that can be bad. I mean, I don't really mind if they get rid of the penny. That's like literally like the bottom of the barrel shit. But I mean, sure, get rid of the penny, but do it legally and not just through some whim of Donald Trump going, I don't fucking like the penny, actually. Get rid of that shit. It's going to make all prices even to 5 cents. Okay. And obviously that's going to make the cost of things go up. Again, we can use that there. Raising the prices of goods. We're supposed to be dropping the cost of living, not making it higher, right? Except here's just like kind of the thing, right? Is that they want to cut $2 trillion of spending while also decreasing the amount that they're taxing people, or not decreasing the amount that they're taxing people. I had to explain to my mom that removing the penny can have downsides. Like it can. It's just like it can increase the cost of living, or not increase the cost of living, and then also like with taxes and things like that. I mean, it can be like annoying. Obviously, even if like I feel like even if he were to be like, all right, no more penny, you can't do. We're not printing more pennies. You couldn't fathom it could have a downside. Yeah. Even if we were like, no more pennies, it's not like, all the pennies would just randomly go out of circulation. You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, you're doing this for what reason? What are we doing this for? Wait, hold on. Where does it disappear right here? Just wait till pennies are worth making, Or just like make them out of something else. Make them out of fucking like aluminum. We have enough fucking aluminum cans going around. I'm sure that the cost of aluminum isn't that much. And then just, I don't know, they're not even copper anymore. They're like mostly zinc. I mean, before, way back when, all the quarters used to be silver. The pennies used to be copper. But we don't have that anymore. That's when America really started to go into decline. Or just make the pennies digital. I'm still all in favor of paper money. mainly for illegal transactions. I don't want all of my money traceable, but I also don't believe that like Dogecoin is the way. No, like specifically the pennies. Oh yeah, here's a couple pennies. Can I just have your bank account number so that way I can give you the pennies back? Like, oh yeah, it's 97 cents. Do you want the 3 pennies or do you just want it to go back into your bank account? All right, I just need your bank account and routing number.
These people are trying to end America as we know it, as it relates to our democracy, as it relates to our ability for the federal government to deliver the type of services that are designed to improve the quality of life of the American people.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I certainly think
where's
it's
your
the
green
case
card?
that you've got Donald Trump, you've got Elon Musk as a billionaire puppet master who is directing House Republicans as to what they should or should not be doing. And so you've got House Republicans who were elected to serve the American people, but they're serving Elon Musk. And
what can you do about that?
Well, for instance, we're going to continue to press forward with legislative efforts in addition to the litigation. You know, we've introduced the Taxpayer Data Protection Act, for instance, which would make Elon Musk's activity, particularly as it relates to the Department of Treasury, unlawful. They're trying to use this exemption that Elon Musk is a special government employee who's exempt from the ethical requirements and the.
So he's all like, yes, Elon Musk is doing something illegal. So you're trying to go ahead and end that loophole. No joke, he kind of speaks like Obama if he went to a frat club. This is Dollar General Obama. This is somebody who does not understand the power that he actually has to disrupt what's currently going on. That is the problem. And he's saying that he's doing fuck all. Like literally, that's what he's telling you. When you go ahead and you listen to, if you put this article next to this video where he's saying, oh, we're doing everything we can. We're going ahead and we're stopping the legislative body, or I'm sorry, we're filing a whole bunch of lawsuits that will stop Donald Trump from doing whatever he's trying to do. Okay, but he's not listening to your lawsuits and he's not listening to the court orders from the judges. So you're not doing anything that's actually affecting produce, or production. You're not actually producing anything, I should say. What's he doing? He doesn't know what he's doing.
Financial disclosure requirements. Meanwhile, he's raiding the personal data, bank accounts, names, addresses, social security numbers of the American people. Why does he need access to that information? It's unconscionable, it's un-American. We're going to work hard to make it unlawful, as we're battling in the courts as well.
What is the most helpful thing?
What seems to be the problem, officer? They're stealing my information.
48.6% of Americans who voted for Kamala Harris to do right now.
I think the most helpful thing is to communicate with their elected officials, both in terms of.
Wait, hold on. I missed the question.
As we're battling in the courts as well.
What is the most helpful thing for the 48.6% of Americans who voted for Kamala Harris to do right now?
I think the most helpful thing is to communicate with their elected officials, both in terms of what they would like to see happen. That's important. That's occurring. But what's even more significant is share the personal stories as to why the things that are occurring in Washington as a result of the extremism coming out of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue will hurt them, hurt their families, hurt their parents, hurt their neighbors. Because one of the things I think we're going to have to more effectively do as we move forward, as we communicate with the American people, is to personalize it all.
Right.
This is not a.
I like how he had to say, be like, that's important, I swear. So, yeah, like, obviously communicate with your elected representatives. Okay. So that they can go ahead and do nothing? No, so that way we can continue to file lawsuits that do nothing? So then we can go ahead and proclaim that we're trying. We're doing the best that we can here. Can I please just have a pat on the fucking back? Can you just like rub my back? And then also when he's saying like, oh, share the information and share the stories to your local representatives, or just share the stories nationwide as to how these policies will hurt right-wingers. We did that. We explained in step-by-step direction of how this would affect them going forward. If you go ahead and impose tariffs, that is something that will ultimately affect you and your prices of goods. Say like it comes into the country, it's $100. There's a 25% tariff on it. The company that brings it into the country has to pay that tariff, that $25 tariff. That then goes on to you. You have to now pay the company that $25 on top of whatever they're going to upcharge you on because they had to pay that $25. They didn't listen. Oh, we're going to go ahead and infringe on the Inflation Reduction Act. When you go ahead and infringe on the Inflation Reduction Act, that's going to hurt American farmers because that food that they were producing to go ahead and build their farms up is no longer going to be used. We tried explaining that to them. They did not listen. So explaining the stories of how this will affect people over and over and over again is impossible. The only way that right-wingers might learn something is if they actually have to go through the hardship themselves. But at the same time, they will still deny going, oh no, it's just because of the Democrats disrupting everything. I swear to God, Elon Musk was this close to finding all that fraud and abuse that he was talking about, even though all of the things that the government spends money on is right there in the books. It's all appropriated. It's all signed off on by Congress that you can read, that you can look up. So when they go ahead and that they said that they found out that they were sending $50 million for condoms in Gaza. That's a lie. Those were sanitary products, mostly for women in the area, for obvious reasons. Sure, there may have been some sort of reproductive system help, but it's not like there were literally just boxes and boxes and boxes of condoms. Like, do you know how many condoms $50 million would buy you? Especially when you're buying $50 million worth. That's like 10 billion condoms. Like, that's more condoms than anyone in Gaza is ever going to use over the next 150 years. Especially when they're being bombed to smithereens. But anyway, that's besides the point. Like, I don't get it. Again, this guy has to be like, okay, share the stories. But if they don't listen, I don't know. If nobody wants to listen to you because we've tried to explain this to them over and over and over again, I don't know what to do. Good luck. It's on your plate now.
Put them on the side of the bureaucracies and put the Democratic Party on the side, the American people.
Of the individuals.
How do you put, I mean, you look at the success that Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger had when welcomed in under your predecessor's leadership to work with Democrats in the January 6th Select Committee. Do you think there's a scenario where any Republican is interested in hearing from Danielle Sassoon about what went awry at SDNY?
That's going to be interesting to see. We certainly look forward to providing any opportunity that we can for her to present her story and the information to the American people. She'll be a very compelling individual. I think that what we've been saying to our Republican colleagues that on any issue that the American people are concerned about, it only takes 3 Republicans to break with the other side of the aisle, join the 215 Democrats, and we can stop them in their tracks. It only takes 3. Meanwhile, they're in the witness protection program as it relates to the things that are taking place, don't want to take a stand.
So do the same thing that the Republicans do. Do the exact same thing. Buy them. If this is something that's so goddamn important to you guys, buy them. I don't care. Buy their vote. It's for sale. They're Republicans. Their vote is for sale. They have already shipped their vote for ExxonMobil and for every other major oil and gas industry major or executive. So why not make it any different? Start lobbying. Fuck it. It doesn't matter. But if these things that you're saying are so bad, where's the John Fetterman of the right? Where he's like, yeah, I'm a Republican for you to vote for me. And then when I get into office, I'm going to side with the Republicans on everything. Or side with the left on everything. Thanks. Where's that guy? Where's the leftist John Fetterman? Or right-wing John Fetterman? That's what I need. Because we need to have some way of doing something different. Buy fucking 4 of them. They're for sale. I guarantee it. You just got to find the right ones. And they know who the right ones are. But they need to go find them.
Don't want to offend Elon Musk, don't want to offend Donald Trump, but they're really offending the people that they were elected to represent.
Are you starting to see any evidence of that?
They don't care about the people.
I mean, do you have the campaign side
They're
evidence that
Republican.
in some of those tougher
They do not care
districts
about
that's hurting them?
On the campaign side, there's a lot of activity that is taking place to hold House Republicans accountable now for their failure to govern in an enlightened fashion. And that will have consequences next November. But we need them to do the right thing now.
Right. I want to ask your opinion about Eric Adams' ability to govern the city of New York. And if you agree with Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who says he's currently being coerced by Donald Trump.
He's going to have to make the case to New Yorkers that he still has the capacity to behave as an independently elected official, not someone who's taking orders or who is on a short leash relative to the Department of Justice. It should try.
Oh, whoops. No, goddammit. He's already bought and fucking paid for. He's already done. They're saying, oh yeah, we're going to drop the prosecution against you. Just give us access to all the migrants that you have living in New York so we can deport people. That's awesome. That's literally what they're saying. Even in the court briefs. That's why the U.S. attorney dropped or resigned, because she wouldn't sign the paper saying that they were going to do that. Luckily, what they ended up doing, what the Republicans did end up doing, is they did end up locking them in a room. The U.S. attorneys in the Southern District of New York, locking them in a room, saying, one of you motherfuckers is going to sign this or you're all fired. And then they found 2 people who were willing to fucking sign off on it. And the judge is more recently being like, hey, like, we need to stop this. I mean, obviously this is a whole nother story, but the reason why it's important is because he's not calling for his resignation. It's not like Mayor Adams hasn't been charged with any serious crime or a non-serious crime. There are serious crimes. Mayor Adams is charged with 1 count of conspiracy to defraud the United States, 1 count of wire fraud, 2 counts of soliciting campaign contributions from foreign nationals, and 1 count of soliciting and accepting a bribe. So again, let's go over this. They still believe that there are rules in the game, that the rules are not currently changing. That needs to stop. They believe that all of this is just rhetoric and puff pieces. It's not. They are making moves. The left, or the Democrats, are not making any sort of moves at all, and they're currently just sitting on their hands, going, okay, this will all be over soon. Yeah, we'll just wait until 2026. And then maybe you guys will vote for us. You guys better vote for us. We didn't do anything to help you vote for us. But hey, that's what we're going to do. We're just going to sit on our hands, do nothing, and let it all just get worse. All of it. Like, come on. Really? fucking obnoxious. Truly is. Okay.
That this decision was made to recommend the dismissal of charges, which ultimately a judge will have to approve, but only to dismiss the charges without prejudice, which effectively means it can be brought back at any point in time. And so there is a prosecutorial gun being put to the head of the elected mayor of the city of New York. That's deeply disturbing. And the mayor's going to have to answer those questions to the people that I represent in Brooklyn and to the people throughout New York City.
Is he compromised?
I think that's a legitimate question to ask, and he's going to have to answer that question sooner rather than later, not just through his words, but through his actions.
I mean, Tom Homan's words are, I will be, quote, up his butt, end quote. I apologize for Mr. Homan's choice of language. It certainly seems that Tom Homan thinks that he resides somewhere in his anatomy.
Yeah, it was an extraordinary interview. I saw clips of it, an extraordinary statement. But what I will say is, we're not going to let the Trump administration intimidate the people of the city of New York.
But they believe that they literally occupy space inside the mayor's anatomy, figuratively
It's an extraordinary
speaking.
statement. This is why Eric Adams is going to have the burden of having to demonstrate to the people of New York otherwise, not simply convinced
But
through
what burden do
words.
Democrats have to oppose flagrant, on its face, on TV, paraded on Fox News corruption?
That's something that's going to be worked out. And I think, as Reverend Sharpton just said, there are ongoing conversations.
That's something that's
to try
going to be
figure
worked out.
You know, where we land on this sooner rather than later.
All right. I want to ask you about what's happening overseas. Speaker Pelosi spent a lot of time.
Like, and also, I want people who are super supportive of the left here to give me an explanation as to why I should cheer for these people when he's obviously doing nothing. Nothing. He hasn't done anything. What has he whipped up in his cacophony of word salad that's here? What is he whipping up? I don't think he's really whipping up anything. If anything, he has shown the ability of not doing fuck all.
Reassuring our allies really throughout her career still spends time when the Democratic Party didn't adhere to the ideals of the Republican Party from the time the Mile Boss was president, George W. Bush, but definitely during Trump's first presidency. And I wonder if you see Elon Musk take the world stage and you see some of Hegseth's comments over there that are being compared by very senior national security folks, I'm sure you're hearing even more than I am, to Neville Chamberlain-like language around the war in Ukraine. What do you feel you can do as one of the two most powerful Democratic leaders in America to reassure our allies?
Well, appeasement failed in the 1930s, and it will continue to fail. This is one of the reasons why we pushed aggressively to make sure that the United States...
This runs perfectly into the next topic.
In its capacity as leader of the free world, stood by Ukraine, not just for Ukraine's territorial integrity, but because freedom and democracy and truth are on the line, and the post-World War II NATO alliance, the greatest military alliance in the history of the world.
Oh, we got NATO mentioned, Jack. Hey, we joined NATO. Hey, I helped resurrect NATO. Thank fucking God, dude.
And it was shameful that the vice president went over there and effectively is trying to start the process of detonating it. And we can assure our NATO allies that there are members of Congress, I believe on both sides of the aisle, Republicans hiding in many ways.
Again, they're talking about the mythical Republican who hasn't already decided where they're at. Like, they know what side they're on. It's up to you to make it worth it for them to join your side on a number of issues. Obviously, you might not be able to go ahead and get them bought and paid for every single issue. But if you have to pay them, fucking go to your donors. Go to somebody, because I know you have the fucking money. Go to somebody and be like, hey, we need to lobby these 4 individuals, 5 individuals. We need to lobby the fuck out of them. Give them the money. Like, it's not bribing, it's lobbying. Literally the motto of Congress. It's not lobbying, it's not bribing, it's lobbying. So lobby them to change their vote. Because they're Republicans. They don't care. They have no morals. The left is the one with the moral problem. Who cares if you're found out that you're like, oh yeah, we actually ended up paying these people for their vote, or else, you know, NATO was gonna go away, or fucking Medicaid was gonna be defunded, or fucking any number of issues. Why are we not doing this? Why is this not a message that should be going forward? Obviously, it might be a message in the background. I don't know. But it really doesn't seem like he has the cojones to do such a thing.
On both sides of the aisle who understand that it's good for America to lead the free world and not turn it over to China and Russia and Iran. Good for America and our national security. And we will continue to press that point publicly as well as legislatively.
Fucking useless. So then, as if Trump announcing that he would be king today, went ahead. Let me just try to pull it up here for you. Then decided to make some comments about Ukraine. And we have a video from Bernie Sanders who will make explain it in some detail here. Let me just go ahead and do this here. Okay, so again, this is going to be about Trump and how he's siding with the dictator Vladimir Putin on Ukraine, because obviously, you know, that's a thing that's happening now. Oh, hold on.
Thanks, everybody, for joining me to discuss a very, very serious issue. Yesterday, we witnessed an extremely sad moment in American history. We saw the President of the United States aligning himself with the dictator of Russia, Vladimir Putin, to undermine the independence of Ukraine and its democracy. Let's be clear. Trump is showing us that he sees one of the world's most brutal dictators as his friend and our longtime democratic allies in Europe as his enemies. He wants a world that is safe for authoritarians and oligarchs, but extremely dangerous for democracies. It will not surprise you when I tell you that Trump is lying, as he so often does. Yesterday, Trump said that Ukraine started the war. That's not true. Russia invaded Ukraine twice, first in 2014 and then again in 2022. Right now, Russia occupies about 20% of Ukraine. Since Putin's horrific invasion, over 1 million people have been killed or injured. Every single day, Russia continues to rain down hundreds of missiles and drones on Ukrainian cities. Putin's forces have massacred civilians and kidnapped thousands of Ukrainian children, bringing them back to Russian re-education camps.
Yeah.
These atrocities led the International Criminal Court to issue an arrest warrant for Putin in 2023 as a war criminal.
However, we don't recognize the authority of the ICC when it comes to, I don't know, say Israel. So that Putin is, or that Putin. No, that comment is pretty mute at this point.
Further, Trump called Ukrainian President Zelensky a dictator. That's not true either. Zelensky won 75% of the vote in free elections. In fact, his approval rating is higher than Trump's. In the midst of a brutal war a brutal war, Ukraine's parliament continues to function and free and unfettered political debate takes place. Trump claimed that our European allies have done little to support Ukraine in its fight against Putin's invasion. He said the United States has contributed 3 times more than Europe. But that's another lie. In fact, Europe has provided more aid to Ukraine than the United States. But it's not just that Trump is lying again. That's not new.
No.
It's what this all reveals about where he wants to take our country and, in fact, the entire world. Trump is cozying up to Vladimir Putin. So who is Putin? And what kind of world does he want to build? Putin is a dictator who crushed Russia's movement toward democracy after the end of the Cold War. Russia holds sham elections every 6 years where Putin wins 90% of the vote, and authorities don't even try to hide their ballot stuffing. There is no freedom of speech or free media in Putin's Russia. Protests are violently suppressed. Tens of thousands of people are in prison for protesting Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Political dissidents are harassed or thrown into jail. The bravest, people like Alexei Navalny, are killed outright. Hundreds of thousands of Russians have fled Putin's brutal regime since his invasion of Ukraine. But Putin has maintained control in his country by offering Russia's oligarchs a simple deal. If you give me absolute power, I'll let you steal as much as you want from the Russian people. And that's why in a country where many are struggling economically, Russian oligarchs have stashed trillions of dollars in offshore tax accounts.
Including in the United States. But their assets were seized at the beginning of the Ukraine war, which it may actually go ahead and get reversed if Trump continues on this tirade.
That is the Russian leader that Trump admires. That is the Russian oligarchy that he supports. But that is not the perspective of the American people. We know, and we are proud of, the fact that the United States of America is the longest standing democracy in the world. We know that many hundreds of thousands of brave Americans over the years have fought and died to defend democracy. We also know that our allies in the world are those countries that believe in democracy, not authoritarianism. In this critical moment in our history, I hope that every American, regardless of political perspective, will stand tall and say yes to democracy, no to oligarchy, and no to authoritarianism. Thank you very much.
So that's Bernie Sanders' comments on it. Let's go ahead and see the general reaction to what the people are saying. Here's Justin Trudeau's response.
Ukrainians have been fighting and dying not just to protect their sovereignty, their territorial integrity. They're also fighting to protect the rules-based order that keeps us all safe around the world and has for close to 80 years now. This period of peace, stability, prosperity for the world happens because we had rules around borders, around not invading your neighbors, that Russia chose deliberately to violate a number of years ago. That is why Canada and our allies are unequivocal on standing up against Vladimir Putin's illegal, immoral, unjust violations of the international order, and why I'm looking forward to sitting down with my European partners in a couple of hours to talk about how we will continue to stand unequivocally in defense of Ukraine, but also in defense of the rules that keep us all safe.
A very special hit here from the former president, or vice president, the former vice president. Ukraine did not start this war. Russia launched an unprovoked and brutal invasion, claiming hundreds of thousands of lives. The road to peace must be built on the truth. Russia invades Ukraine in largest European attack since World War II. Yeah, but obviously, Ukraine started it. I did have a funny post earlier where it was just like, yeah, I wonder. Well, obviously, since the Republicans are victim blaming here, they're probably asking what Ukraine was wearing at the time. What was Ukraine wearing at the time where Russia invaded? It sounds like they were asking for to get invaded. Like, okay. Holy shit. So yeah, this is Trump's actual statement on the matter, obviously posted on Truth Social. Think of it: a modestly successful comedian, Vladimir Zelensky, talked the United States of America into spending $350 billion, not the actual amount, to go into a war that couldn't be won, that never had to start, but a war that he, without the U.S. and Trump, I don't know why he puts Trump in quotes, will never be able to settle. The United States has spent $200 billion more than Europe, and Europe's money is guaranteed. That's also not true. While the United States will get nothing back, why didn't sleepy Joe Biden demand equalization in this war? It is far more important to Europe than it is to us. We have a big, beautiful ocean as separation. On top of this, Zelensky admits that half of the money that we sent him is quote-unquote missing. He refuses to have elections, is very low in Ukrainian polls, and the only thing he was good at was playing Biden like a fiddle. A dictator without elections, Zelensky better move fast or he is not going to have a country left. In the meantime, we are successfully negotiating an end to the war with Russia, not Ukraine, the two countries that are there. Something I'll admit only Trump, quote, again, why is Trump in quote? And the Trump administration can do. Biden never tried. Europe has failed to bring peace, and Zelensky probably wants to keep the gravy train going. I love Ukraine, but Zelensky has done a terrible job. His country is shattered, and millions have unnecessarily died, and so it continues. Okay, again, what was Ukraine wearing when it was bombed? Hold on, let me do a Tucker Carlson one. Hold on. Well, all I'm doing here is I'm just asking questions. What was Ukraine wearing when Russia attacked it? Was it asking for it? Did it give unsettling hints that maybe he does want to get invaded? I don't know. I'm just asking questions. What were they wearing? Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, man, obviously, Ukraine didn't start this. It didn't start under Joe Biden. It started back in 2014 when they went ahead and invaded Crimea and took that part of it, and they were just given it. That was the appeasement portion of this whole process. Is that, okay, you can have Crimea. Don't take any more, though. Don't do it. Okay, you're invading the Donbass. We're going to continue to fight you, and if we lose, we're not wasting that money. We're not wasting the funds and the resources that we spent defending Ukraine. Instead of getting anything out of it in return, we're then going to go ahead and say, you know what? Actually, hold on. Why don't we go ahead and just say, yeah, Ukraine started all of this. And then you can just keep the Donbass regions of Ukraine. Yeah, we can just be on our merry way and say that I ended the war and capitulated to Putin. That's literally what he's doing. I think maybe he's giving up because he kind of looks like Stephen Miller, if Stephen Miller was an old Russian man. Even GeoUKR misinformation has to say something. President Donald Trump's recent statement regarding the war in Ukraine is so egregious that we felt compelled to respond. several claims by President Trump have already been debunked. We're going to include some resources from Gronk AI for each claim, demonstrating that even Grok refutes the misinformation spread by the president. In this thread, we will provide a geolocated footage as a reminder for everyone that Russia invaded Ukraine on February 24th, 2022, marking the beginning of the war. Number 1. The United States has spent $350 billion on this war, nor has it outspent Europe by $200 billion. In fact, European contributions have surpassed those of the U.S. Moreover, a significant portion of the American military aid, around 90%, is spent in the United States, reinvesting the U.S. economy. Again, they're providing sources here, including from Grok. 2. The President Zelensky did not claim that the half of the Americans sent to the Ukraine is missing. He stated that half of the promised funds had not been received, which is a crucial distinction. So if they're not receiving it, how are they expected to use it? Because 90% of the aid that we're providing them, right, is just being reinvested into our arms manufacturing, and that arms manufacturing is then being sent to Ukraine, or they're giving them our old shit or whatever the fuck, however the fuck they've managed to do it. It's not like they're getting like the premium top of the line shit. The best way to explain it is kind of like when you go to Enterprise and you rent a car. It's not like it's like a top of the line package, and it's not like the low end package. It's like right in the middle there. That right in the middle there is like, sure, like it'll have leather seats, but it won't have heated seats. Or like your Humvee, it'll have seats, but the glass won't be bulletproof. I don't know. Just like an example like that. It won't have a V8, it'll have a V6. We're sending you cyber trucks to fight Russia in. Let's see. Number 3, the Ukrainian constitution prohibits elections during wartime, a measure designated to protect the democratic process from foreign interference. Jesus fucking Christ, I can't read. Particularly given Russia's known capabilities in this area. They had a Russian puppet president prior to Zelensky. He was then kicked out, and Zelensky was made president. Hence why that president that Zelensky beat flew into Russia. Number 4, President Zelensky is not a dictator, as evidenced by Ukraine's constitutional framework and his commitment to holding elections once the hostilities cease. In contrast, it's worth noting that President Putin consistently wins elections with an implausibly high percentage of votes, with opposition that, quotes, falls out windows, is poisoned jails, raising questions about the true nature of Russia's electoral process. Number 5, President Zelensky has an approval rating above 50%, not 4%. 4% is Russian disinformation, coming directly from Russia. Number 6, there was no NATO expansion to the east, as NATO itself cannot expand. Instead, democratic countries independently decide whether they want to become members of the alliance. The process of joining NATO is voluntary and involves multiple steps, including meeting with specific requirements and completing formal application processes. The fact that many of Russia's former neighbors have chosen to seek NATO membership speaks volumes about their perception of Russia and their desire to for collective security. The decision of these nations to pursue NATO membership reflects the sovereign right to determine their own foreign policy and security arrangement. It also indicates that a preference for the stability and security guarantees that NATO membership offers, rather than remaining under Russian influence. Regarding the famous promise, Article 103 of the UN Charter establishes a clear hierarchy in international law. It states that obligations under the UN Charter prevail over obligations under any international agreement in the case of conflict. This supremacy extends beyond just treaties, as it is generally understood to also apply to the customary international law. The hierarchy can be summarized as follows. 1. UN Charter obligations. 2. Other treaty and customary international law. 3. Non-treaty international text. Political promises or commitments. 5. Historical claims. Russia's invasion of Ukraine clearly violates the fundamental principles of the UN Charter, including the prohibition on the use of force against the territorial integrity of another state. Any attempts to justify this action based on lower-ranking considerations like political promises or historical claims are legally irrelevant. Number 8. Who initiated this nearly 3-year-long war? Russia did. As a platform that has analyzed over 50,000 frames, videos related to the conflict, we will remind the president with geolocated footage who started this war. Russia. Russia invaded the Ukraine on February 24th, 2022, despite repeatedly denying any plans for invasion on the preceding days. February 24th, 2022, Russian tanks crossing the border from Belarus into Ukraine in Senkivka? Right there. Here it is. It's not a surprise. Those are not Ukrainian tanks going into Ukraine or going into Russia. Those are Russian tanks going into Ukraine. Again, dozens of attack helicopters flying towards Antonov International Airport near Kiev.
Хуяк, сбил одного, упал, блядь. Упал? Да, вон, блядь. Вы представляете, ребятка, что творится? Они едут на работу.
You can see them right there.
Вон, блядь, уже дым загорелся, нахуй.
30 Russian helicopters engaged in attacking Antonov International Airport.
Точно російські. Прямо над хатами. Прямо ось над хатами літають, падли. Полетіли в сторону аеропорта, бомблять аеропорт. Чути, що йде бій.
Picture from International Airport. Russian armored tanks driving by on CCTV footage. Again, just a fuckload. An invasion force. Just continuing. This goes on for a minute. And this is sped up. Street clashes between Ukraine and Russia in the Ukrainian city of... I can't say that. But still, it remains. Or tanks going in from Crimea. Going into Kherson. Again.
Бурятия, блядь.
Вон танк. Танк.
Look at that. More tanks. Again.
Стріляно Рено Кліо, 61-річна водія поліцейськими, але їхали росіяни випадково в медик. Встановлені заступники криміналісти нарахували від 38 до...
On February 24th, Russia invaded... Where'd it go? The above videos are only a fraction of our database. Conclusion and a reminder for President Trump. On February 24th, 2022, Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine, violating international law and the UN Charter. This action came despite repeated denials from the Russian officials and in the preceding days that they had any plans to attack Ukraine. The invasion began with the Russian President Vladimir Putin announcing a special military operation in eastern Ukraine, followed by missile strikes and ground incursions from multiple directions. This aggression constituted a clear breach of the UN Charter, which prohibits the force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state. Again, which shouldn't have to be debated. Not everything is up for debate. Anyone with eyes knows that on February 24th, this war started. All around here. So, I'm not exactly sure what the fuck you're talking about. No one knows what the fuck this guy is talking about. But thankfully, we're able to go ahead and look it up. We're able to backtrack. This is how historians track things. Not by just proclaiming whatever the fuck they want and going, yeah, we'll figure it out later. No, they track everything. And this, obviously these are bots. Like, Ukraine shouldn't have started the process to join NATO. Actions have consequences. Fuck! Like, how do you combat this?
Today, people ask me why it was not stipulated in the treaty that NATO must not expand to the east. The following should be taken into account. NATO and the Warsaw Pact existed at that time. What was there to fix in a treaty? The question did not even arise back then. In other words, it is a myth that you were betrayed by the West regarding NATO's eastward expansion. Yes, it's definitely a myth. Today, people...
Again, this is the former Soviet Union president saying, yeah, we didn't have it was a treaty. Okay? But the UN Charter says you can't invade countries for any reason because you want to, because you think that it's yours. Like, I don't get it. I mean, this guy has a point. Like, Trump gives a shit about international laws. We see international law in Gaza and West Bank. He's got a point. Why would we care? I mean, what does the rule-based order really say? Because obviously, this is kind of like the discrepancy here as well, is where you have two glaring issues. You have two conflicts. One, the conflict in Ukraine, where obviously the invading force is vehemently, outright, segregated from the international community, where their actions upon a populace have consequences. Understandable. And then on the second conflict, you have Israel conflicting with Gaza, a place where they have obviously suffered human rights abuses, controls what goes in and out of Gaza, but at the same time, we won't, segregate them from the international community because they're our lapdog. They are our unsinkable aircraft carrier for the Middle East. So as long as we have them, we're good in the Middle East because we can do whatever we want there. However, it still comes at a cost where you're just like, okay, so this is wrong, but this isn't. I need this explained to me like I'm 5. And most people will never actually explain that. Most people will never actually acknowledge that. Or at least most politicians will never actually acknowledge that. So all of this to say that it's very concerning. It's not even more concerning. It's just not a surprise. It's not a surprise that Trump would go after Zelensky. You have to remember that Zelensky was the guy who he was involved with the Russia scandal originally back in, I think it was like 2018, where he tried to do a quid pro quo and get dirt on Biden, and Zelensky said, no, give me my military aid, please. We kind of need it. You have to keep this all in perspective, that Trump is a petty fucking bitch. He has always been a petty fucking bitch, and he will not stop being a petty fucking bitch until the day that he dies. It's constant. It's a constant thing. Forever he will be a petty bitch. So I'm not exactly sure what they were expecting. Oh my god.
Bad news for
Now, so then I did want to go ahead and also bring up a video here. I'm going to play the full thing. And then we can kind of go from there.
Did y'all know that freedom of speech caused the Holocaust? That's at least what CBS reporter Margaret.
And
Hold
in
on.
a way, she's right. So you have to remember.
I wonder if he
that
blocked me after making one video about him. Oh my god, no, he got blocked again. So there is someone here. That I'm
just
sure
out of
that
curiosity, what
we have all kind
Do
of.
you actually believe this election will be
followed
so
here.
much better if
I'm just trying to pull up the TikTok here. So let me go ahead and pull it up here. So this guy has to like constantly make new TikToks all the time because he keeps getting banned either for like misinformation or lying or whatever the fuck it being. He's obviously a big piece of shit here. I can't tell if this is just old.
I'm so confused because before the TikTok ban.
When was this posted? I can't even tell. January 30th? I don't know. I'm just going to go to my video. So when he was, why does it, damn, is my control button that fucking sensitive? Holy shit. Anyway, let's go to my profile here.
Did y'all know that freedom of speech caused the Holocaust? That's at least what CBS reporter Margaret.
And in a
So he ends up claiming that CBS causes or said that the Holocaust occurred because of free speech. And in a way, she is correct. Free speech did cause the Holocaust, but not like directly. It's kind of weird. So let's go ahead and explain it a little bit. So let's just play my video here first.
In a way, she's right. So you have to remember that there's this thing
I don't know if you
called
can hear it
a
here.
tolerant society. So when you have a tolerant society that allows anybody to speak, that includes intolerant voices. So when somebody goes up there and says, for example, just an example, they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the pets of the people who live there, and he's talking about legal migrants, that is quote unquote protected speech. Although it's intolerant, it's still protected speech. So allowing for, you know, white supremacist speech to continue, you then create an intolerant society. I kind of figured you would know that because you're an intolerant voice, but you're still allowed to speak.
Did y'all know that?
So the whole thing is that I just need to try and pull up the video originally. So the whole point of it is that when you have free speech that's unmitigated, unregulated free speech, you're allowed to say whatever you want at any point in time because you can say whatever you want. Okay, perfect, not a problem. However, it becomes a problem when you want to say like, oh, quote unquote, Jews are bad. Or, hey, this science is Jew science. When you're talking about LGBTQ plus people. and you want to go ahead and dehumanize them in a way and say like trans people are just mentally fucking ill. Like that's kind of the problem. Like that type of speech allows for the dehumanization process to begin. So when Trump see how bad I am. No, but like when Hitler goes ahead and made his speeches, he would go ahead and say things like, "Oh, well, like obviously the Jews are bad, they're causing all these problems. Like these are the specific this group of people is specifically responsible for all of the problems that we have in our country at the current moment." When you're allowed to say things like that, you end up with like the pretext and the authorization of dehumanizing individuals. And it's a problem because you need to stomp that out. You need to say, hey, that's not okay. That is 100% unacceptable. And yes, it should be illegal. Maybe not go to jail illegal, maybe some sort of fine or, you know, some sort of financial issue with that type of speech because it does harm people. Saying that it's okay or saying that it's bad to, or saying that it's a bad thing to control speech that way is unacceptable. That like, I'm sorry, but you will never hear me say like, oh yeah, we need to protect everyone's speech no matter what, because even when you're protesting, your speech will get stopped. You're like they will control your speech to a degree where you're not allowed to protest, where you're not allowed to say specific things, where you're not allowed to argue specific topics, where you're not allowed to say quote unquote Israel bad. Like that's literally something that they're trying to pass through Congress, saying you are not allowed to criticize the nation state of Israel. I'm sorry, but no. And they're trying to do that under the guise of anti-Semitism. It's not anti-Semitism. It's more anti-Semitic to say that Israel speaks for all Jews. That's besides the point. But to say like, oh, this entire group of people are disgusting creatures and they need to get out of here. They're vermin. They're causing all sorts of crime. They're going on murderous rampages. They need to get out of here. We need to exterminate them. That should be illegal. Like that should be severely illegal. And like I don't get why people would be like, yeah, no, it's fine to say things like that. You know what I mean? Like if we go ahead, I just want to try to look up I want to try to find the video CBS free speech. I mean, I can go ahead and see Asmund. Hold on.
This is an absolute rock bottom moment for the legacy media. According to Face the Nation host Margaret Brennan, the Holocaust happened because of genocidal Nazi regime, which defined totalitarian for the 20th century, allowed too much free speech. This is a crazy exchange. Does media really think the Holocaust was caused by free speech?
Oh, well, hold on. Let's go ahead and just watch this video because I'm sure that he'll play the whole thing.
Fuck it, we'll take a risk. We'll watch this. There's a lot of people talking about it. I'm actually really curious what this is.
Well, he was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide. And he met with the head of a political party that has far-right views and some historic ties to extreme groups. The context of that was changing the tone of it. And you know that the censorship
I have to disagree with
was
you.
specifically about the right.
No, I have to disagree with you. Free speech was not used to conduct a genocide. The genocide was conducted by an authoritarian Nazi regime that happened to also be genocidal because they hated Jews and they hated minorities and they hated those that they had a list of people they hated, but primarily the Jews. There was no free speech in Nazi Germany. There was none. There was also no opposition in Nazi Germany.
Yes, you are correct. When Nazi Germany became Nazi Germany. However, prior to Nazi Germany being Nazi Germany, right? Back when it was still the Weimar Republic, obviously that had its own issues, and we're looking at one very specific minute detail of the entire process that ended up collaborating into Nazi Germany, right? We're taking a look at one specific thing here, right? When you go ahead and you say that the Jews and other minorities and other people are the cause of the problem, and if we get rid of them in some spectacular fashion, if we get rid of them, then all of your problems will disappear. All of them. That's a fucking problem. And that goes ahead and gives them the context to go ahead and conduct said genocide when you're spreading lies and misinformation about that group of people. That's a problem. And that should be stomped out at any cost. I don't care what sort of political fucking rage you have. I don't care if it's going to cost you political points. No, you stop it before it actually gets momentum. So those people who feel like they're so emboldened in Cincinnati, Ohio, where they literally went to a traditionally African-American neighborhood and started flying their swastika flags and going on, that's a problem. That's not good. I don't know how else to explain that to people. That's not a good thing. When you give the pretext of saying, we're allowed to say this, spread this around, and you have to take us seriously when we say it. No. No, we don't. We should throw your ass in jail or re-educate you because obviously you have been misled to believe this misinformation. If you actually believe it. Because a lot of times the other part of this problem nowadays is grifting. Grifting is a huge part of this problem. Asmongold is a fucking grifter. He's not a political commentator. He doesn't actually understand the nuances here. What ended up happening is that he ended up finding out that if he goes ahead and he trickles in this information here and there, his views go up because people on the right love this type of content. They absolutely adore this type of content. But no, instead, he does that, but instead of saying, actually, let me take a step back from this and realize that I am adding to the detriment of society as a whole because people are so fucking stupid. The people are actually dumb. They will take this guy as a trusted source, even though he'll have cockroaches crawling on him. He hasn't cleaned his room in months. But yes, they will take his word as gospel and be like, actually, you know what? My favorite streamer said that the Holocaust didn't happen because the Nazis were allowed to speak. In Nazi Germany, they didn't restrict free speech in Nazi Germany. Obviously, if you take a look back prior to Nazi Germany, they had free speech. They had a little bit more free speech than they did after, during the regime of Nazi Germany. But you can't say that these voices should be allowed to speak because they're vile, they're disgusting, and they shouldn't be allowed to exist. These thoughts should not be allowed to exist because they're wrong and disgusting and gross. And I get it. That may be shocking for some people to hear. However, I don't care. If it's going to stop a genocide, then I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Germany. They were a sole and only party that governed that country. So that's not an accurate reflection of history.
Well, he was
I've got to listen to this again.
standing in a country where free speech was...
Where's the longer form version of this? There's got to be this is crazy. Okay, this is a 3-minute one.
And so I think if anyone's angry about his word, they don't have to agree with him, but to be angry about it, I think actually makes his point. I thought it was actually a pretty historic speech, whether you agree with him or not. I think the valid points he's making to Europe is we are concerned that the true values that we share, the values that bind us together with Europe, are things like free speech and democracy and our shared history in winning 2 world wars and defeating Soviet communism and the like. These are the values that we shared in common. And in that Cold War, we fought against things like censorship and oppression and so forth. And when you see backsliding and you raise that, that's a very valid concern. We can't tell them how to run their countries. He simply expressed in a speech his view of it, which a lot of people, frankly, share. And I thought he said a lot of things in that speech that needed to be said. And honestly, I don't know why anybody would be upset about it. People are allowed, you know.
There's a huge opposition party in the beginning. Yeah.
You don't have to agree with someone's speech. I happen to agree with a lot of what he said, but you don't have to agree with.
It's not about agreeing. Let's just make that abundantly clear. It's not about agreeing whether a fact is true or not, whether something is true or not. That's not what this is about.
Someone's speech to at least appreciate.
And this is going back to JD's speech. Right here, where he goes on to claim that a guy was arrested for praying outside of an abortion clinic, quote unquote, allegedly, where his wife had an abortion and he was outside praying. The cops approached him and said, "Hey, what the fuck are you doing here? Get the fuck out of here." He didn't, was then given a fine. He refused to pay that fine. Once he refused to pay that fine, then he was arrested because he didn't acknowledge it, right? The other place that he talks about is in Sweden, I believe. It's either Sweden or Norway, where they have people that were going ahead and burning the Quran and shouting death to Muslims. That's hate speech and should be stopped. Why are you arguing it like it shouldn't be stopped? That's a bad thing. When you see Quran burning, you're allowed to burn the Quran. That's fine. You're allowed to burn the American flag. That's fine. You're allowed to burn whatever the fuck you want. Go ahead. But as soon as you start shouting things like, "Oh, death to all Muslims," yes, that should be stopped at all costs. That should be a hate crime. Because that's what you're doing. When you go ahead and you say, "Oh, I'm going to burn a cross in the front yard," is that not a message for the American audience? Obviously, we all know what that means. It's a sign for lynching. That's literally what it was brought back to. Should we allow KKK voices to actually speak? No. I don't think we should. I think that that's something that we could all objectively agree upon at this point. But anyway, let's
the fact they have a right to say it, and
video.
you should listen to it and see whether those criticisms are valid. I assure you, the United States has come under withering criticism on many occasions from many leaders in Europe, and we don't go around.
Look at his chat. Obviously, more lies. The Bolshevik communist regime was 85% Jewish. J.D. Vance is a hero to Europeans for his speech. Shock troops shut down the opposition.
Throwing temper tantrums.
The Norman tradition is meeting with the party in power, and they didn't. That's the main thing.
About it.
Americans want to empower people in their countries. We are so right. Again, we should not be empowering any sort of hatred. That's what this is.
Well, he was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide.
Asmongold, I swear to fucking Christ.
I was really hoping, so like the reason why I didn't want to watch the short clip is I was thinking to myself, there's no way, right? There's no way. This has got to be out of context. This is, but how is it? It's like that Kick streamer clip earlier where it's like, no, not only is it out of context, but it's even worse.
In a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide. and he met with the head of a political party that has far-right views and some historic ties to extreme groups. The context of that was...
Yes. And not only that, but after J.D. Vance's speech, he went to meet with the Alternative for Germany Party, or the AfD. The Alternative for Germany is a far-right nationalist group in Germany that has specific ties to the original Nazi party from 1930s. He didn't meet with the actual, like, elected representative of Germany. He went ahead and met with the AfD instead. What does that tell you? Please, what does that tell you? That's all you need to know. What his intentions were with that speech. And when she's talking about free speech was used to conduct a genocide, she's not talking about when Germany became the Nazi party, or became the Third Reich. It was prior to then that got Hitler elected to Chancellor of Germany. Not Supreme Chancellor, just Chancellor.
Changing the tone of it. And you know that the censorship
I have to disagree with
was
you.
specifically about the right.
No, I have to disagree with you. Free speech was not used to conduct a genocide. The genocide was conducted by an authoritarian Nazi regime that happened to also be genocidal because they hated Jews and they hated minorities and they hated those that they had a list of people they hated, but primarily
Look
the
at
Jews.
it as a whole.
There was no free speech in Nazi Germany. There was none. There was also no opposition in Nazi Germany. They were a sole and only party that governed that country. So that's not an accurate reflection of history.
Fucking based, cooked, facts. Awesome.
I also think it's wrong. Again, I go back to the point of his speech. Okay, the point of his speech was basically that there is an erosion in free speech and intolerance for opposing points of view within Europe, and that's of concern because that is eroding. That's not an erosion of your military capabilities. That's not an erosion of your economic standing. That's an erosion of the actual values that bind us together in this transatlantic union that everybody talks about. And
Little Marco's come a long way ever since 2016, hasn't he? He really has.
I think allies and friends and partners that have worked together now for 80 years should be able to speak frankly to one another in open forums without being offended, insulted, or upset. And I spoke to foreign ministers from multiple countries throughout Europe. Many of them probably...
I did just see a comment in his chat that said huge ears, and goddamn, holy fuck. Look at these fucking things.
Didn't like the speech or didn't agree with it, but they were continuing to engage with us on all sorts of issues that unite us.
History told by the wrong people. LOL. They throw people in jail in Europe for Facebook posts about trans people. How can she make this
At
comparison?
the end of the day, I think...
Still in the troll fire, to be fair.
I think that, you know...
It's like the argument between Civil War being about slavery versus states' rights. Yes, it's exactly like that. Except it's not about states' rights. Except it is slaves' rights to do what? Slave rights to do what? States' rights to do what? Own slaves. And then they'll go ahead and progress forward. And they'll be like, okay, yeah, free speech. What did they say? What did they say while he was being elected? What was he saying while he was running for president? Or running for chancellor? Oh, that's what he was saying.
People give all... That is a form in which you're supposed to be inviting...
Nah, J.D. Vance was right. Let's invade Greenland. Takes a sip.
People to give speeches, not basically a chorus where everyone is saying the exact same thing. That's not always going to be the case when it's a collection of democracies where leaders have the right.
So they're criticizing JD's speech because he's advocating for free speech in Europe? That's wow.
And the privilege to speak their minds in forums such as these.
Mr. Secretary, I'm told that we are out of time.
I fucking bet. Yeah.
Fucking bet. Yeah.
I bet. Yeah, bro. Time's up. Oh my God. Jesus. No, obviously, they're not criticizing for that. Sure seems like that. It sure seems like that's what she said. I mean, if that's not what it was, that then it could be something else, but it sure seems like that's what she said. Absolutely. Just imagine what people would have done in the U.S. if Kamala had won. I don't know, man. And she's running. Yeah, bro, we're out of time. That's insane.
And so I think if anyone's angry about his work, they don't have to agree with him, but to be in defeating Soviet communism and the like, these are the values that we shared in common. And in that Cold War, we fought against things like censorship and oppression and so forth. And when you see backsliding and you raise that, that's a very valid concern. We can't tell them how to run their countries. He simply expressed in a speech.
There have been a handful of Times articles that have criticized free speech.
Hold on. I need to continue to listen to his commentary because obviously it's gold. He's Asmongold. You put the cans back on. Okay.
Expressed in a speech.
There have been a handful of Times articles that have criticized free speech. Well, the reason why media criticizes free speech is because free speech puts the media at risk. Because free speech is a counterbalance to the media. The media wants themselves to be the arbiters of what's true and what's not. And if the population has free speech, then they can compromise the media. It's a power grab, really.
Okay. Everything he just said was completely wrong. Journalism and news publications and media only exist because there is free speech. There is not state-sponsored media that comes out. Obviously, it's whoever's in power at the time, and they always follow the direction of the State Department. That's obvious. That's clear, right? However, to say that journalism and the media are against free speech is literally insane and completely not what we're talking about.
It's not even ideological. His speech was very unprofessional and left a bad taste. A lot of people lost faith in America after that, and that's a fact. Well, I don't know if I don't know how many other people I speak for, but I'm speaking for myself at least, is that if you lose faith in America because America is advocating for freedom of speech and freedom of expression,
you should look at the fucking video then and actually understand what the fuck he's talking about. Fuck.
It's not worth anything. Go fuck yourself.
His view of it, which a lot of people frankly share. And I thought he said a lot of things in that speech that needed to be said. And honestly, I don't know why anybody would be upset about it. People are allowed, you don't have to agree with someone's speech. I happen to agree with a lot of what he said, but you don't have to agree with someone's speech to at least appreciate the fact they have a right to say it, and that you should listen to it and see whether those criticisms are valid. I assure you, the United States has come under withering criticism on many occasions from many leaders in Europe, and we don't go around throwing temper tantrums about it.
Well, he was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide. And he met with the head of a political party that has far-right views and some historic ties to extreme groups. The context of that was changing the tone of it. And you know that the censorship
I have to disagree with
was specifically about the right.
No, I have to disagree with you. Free speech was not used to conduct a genocide. The genocide was conducted by an authoritarian Nazi regime that happened to also be genocidal because they hated Jews and they hated minorities and they hated those that they had a list of people they hated, but primarily the Jews. There was no free speech in Nazi Germany. There was none.
I don't know. I don't know. Because again, if you're not talking about prior, then yes, obviously, after they took power, the speech was then controlled to negate any sort of naysayers on the issue, right? However, before then, while he was running for election, and while Nazism was rising in power, among other reasons, the reason why that they were able to get away with what they were saying is because of free speech during the time. So to say, like, for example, like I said in the other video, for example, if somebody was saying, oh, the Jews are eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the people, or eating the pets of the people who live in Berlin. That probably shouldn't be allowed. I'm just saying. Because again, that's something that like Nazis would say. Like that's something that would obviously say.
There was also no opposition in Nazi Germany. They were a sole and only party that governed that country. So that's not an accurate reflection of history. I also think it's wrong. Again, I go back to the point of his speech. Okay, the point of his speech was basically that there is an erosion.
You have anything else to add here?
Wow. Like, how many of you guys learned that one of the big things that, like, Nazi Germany didn't like was, like, people being able to express themselves in freedom of speech? I feel like basically everybody learned that. Like, if there was anything that you learned about it, it was definitely that. I think she's trying to use the paradox of tolerance.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that I think she's trying to use emotional manipulation. Because I think that that's the only tool that these people have in order to maintain their power structure. I think that whenever logic is applied to it and the emotional manipulation is discarded, the entire premise of everything they believe falls apart. And I think that that's been made clear over and over. And
it's emotional manipulation. Okay, sure. It's an emotional manipulation to say that when he was running for election and he was running to become chancellor, that he then was able to say whatever the fuck he wants at any time with no repercussions at all. None. He was allowed to just say it. Because we don't have any safeguards. We don't have any... The rails are there. We don't have anything that says you actually shouldn't say that. That's fucking preposterous. And disgusting. And I like, really, dude? Fucking really? Like, come on. Oh my god. If you listen to Asmongold, you have to understand that he 90% of the time, especially when it's something about politics, he doesn't understand what the fuck he's talking about at all. He has no historical reference or frame of to put it in. He doesn't know, or either he doesn't know and he's a willful idiot, or he knows and he's just not mentioning it because clicks, likes, and views. When he says something like this, he knows he's going to get clicks, likes, and views because he's got people in his chat going, based. That's so based, bro. Good job. You did it. Get the fuck out of here. Holy fuck. Like, I literally just don't understand. I don't get where this shit comes from. Like, if you ignore any sort of context to any situation, obviously it's going to appear very black and white. If you're only looking at black and white options, that's where you're already going wrong. Because no situation ever is black and white. None. There is always some gray area. If you think it's black and white, you're looking at the wrong thing. Holy shit. Now, what else do I got here? Is there any more kind of news or update here at the top, latest? Okay. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at this one. Latest President Donald Trump has signed an executive order to terminate federal taxpayer-funded benefits for undocumented immigrants. This policy aims to redirect all federal agencies to identify and eliminate the financial assistance these individuals might receive, reflecting a continuation of his America First agenda from his previous term. The move has sparked discussions on its legality, economic impact, and the ethical considerations surrounding the welfare of undocumented immigrants. This story is a summary of posts on X and may evolve over time. Grok can make mistakes to verify its outputs. Do we have a video? Doesn't look like it. So, I mean, we would have to obviously take a look and see like what benefits they're actually receiving. Like what benefits are there for being an illegal immigrant other than just kind of being here? Like I'm just kind of confused. News? Let me go ahead and try to see if I can pull up something on YouTube about it. Hold on. So I don't see anything as of late about it. So there doesn't really appear to be much out yet about it. Let's see.
If you're running in,
Let's just put this on. Oh, let me just go. Oh, hold on, I just got a message here.
Reminded that for me, it isn't over. Never mind, I'll find
Oh my god. I mean, kinda, right? They do look eerily similar. Hold on. Let me share this with the class.
Reminded that for me, it isn't over. Never mind, I'll find
He grew up so much in just 15 years, man. Look at him. Look at him go. He's so proud.
reminded that for me, it isn't over. Never mind, I'll find
Yeah. Woo, that's so good. Holy shit. That's funny. That's so good. What the fuck? I just want to go ahead and add this. But yeah, let's go ahead and apparently he signed a new executive order again. Caroline Leavitt, obviously the press secretary, can confirm no more federal benefits to illegal aliens. Okay. It's weird that he's going to sign something and not have that guy come out and say, like, oh, this is what this is for. Like, what I really want to know is, like, what undocumented benefits do they get? I'm a translator in a country, social services, and I frequently have to tell people that they can't get Medicaid, food stamps, or heating assistance because they aren't citizens. I wonder if they aren't talking about their citizen children who are eligible to receive some benefits. That is the one thing that they would probably go ahead and stop that. The undocumented population does not qualify for food stamps. These guys, you know, in Michigan must be getting assistance in other way. Not paying taxes is a pretty good benefit. Holy shit. Do these people think like they don't go to the fucking grocery store? Like, they don't go to the grocery store. They don't go ahead and, buy things. They don't buy food or anything like that. You think that just stops? Like, they pay taxes. They pay $96 billion in taxes every fucking year, and they don't actually get any of the benefits of paying taxes. Other than maybe, well, actually, no, I think like potholes and shit comes from like state agencies. Like, I'm not mistaken. California Democrats are about to lose their shit because spending taxpayers' money on illegal aliens is now prohibited. Lawsuits will follow, but all they will do is expose the creepy love affair that they have for illegal criminals. Okay, so that's a state thing. That's not a federal thing. So if the federal government goes ahead and disperses money to the state has the right to do whatever the fuck they want with that money, including and not limited to paying for immigrants' housing and for food and for shelter and for whatever the fuck else that they need in order to either A, become citizens, or B, just not starve on the street. Like, I'm confused as to, like, what is the better option here? So what like, give me a better option, because they're gonna keep coming in because there's jobs, there's opportunity here in America, which is great, awesome, wonderful. There's not going to stop coming in. So what is the plan? What's the plan? Because obviously, with their people coming in, they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop. So do you want them on the street, starving, not getting food, or where that would then actually lead to rampant crime going on? Because again, they would have to steal for food, they would have to do all this other nonsense. Like, they would have to do something in order for them not to starve on the street. It's an actual better solution to help them in some sort of fashion, in some sort of way, so we don't have that happen. Okay, but that's something that's already been allocated, and that's something that we should continue. So, like, I don't exactly know, like, what you mean. Legal immigrants in the United States may be eligible for some federal benefits, including Medicaid, education. No, they're not. School nutrition, food stamps. However, undocumented immigrants are not eligible for SNAP benefits, also known as EBT or food stamps. But their children, born in the USA, can. Biden has given some of them social security numbers. Even yeah. Fucking Biden was just sitting there going, "Hey, here you go, Jack or Jose. Here's a social security number for you. You keep that up, you're a citizen now. No, dude. No. No, that's not how that works. Holy shit. Benefits that illegal immigrants may receive. Emergency Medicaid. Illegal aliens in the United States, children may be eligible for emergency Medicaid services. Illegal aliens may be eligible for primary and secondary education. Okay. School nutrition. Illegal aliens may be eligible for school nutrition services. Those are the children of the people who are here, so those people are legal because you can't end just right off birthright citizenship. Aid to families with dependent children, AFDC. Illegal aliens may be eligible for AFDC benefits. Wait, yeah. Wait, you want to hurt children. Even the Christian right is okay with children receiving stuff. It's in the Bible. I see you're Catholic. That would explain it. Like, illegals and tourists planning on overstaying their visas are allowed to enroll their children in public schools. Okay, that's fine. In some classrooms in Florida, there's more kids speaking Spanish and Portuguese than English. Doubt that. If they weren't allowed to send their kids to school, which is the first thing they do when they get here, coming to the US would be way less attractive and the influx of illegal immigrants would decrease immensely. You want to go after children. You are sick. Most people, including the right, are okay with children receiving an education. Well, the Christian right, anyways, you are a bitch. I like this guy. I don't know who he is. This guy's awesome. Ambiguity.
But same shit, different day. God.
Some were getting 10K a month in cash. Okay. Like, what's your source, bro? Like, where are you getting that information? Because that's obviously not true. It's just very clearly not true. Like, that's just insane. Trump and Musk discuss Doge dividend for taxpayers. Oh yeah, that's the next great thing that's on their mind. Like, essentially, like, for some reason, Trump or people are thinking like, oh yeah, since you're finding so much money there, can you go ahead and give it back to the taxpayer, please? And Musk was like, yeah, well, I'll talk to the president about it. Fuck no, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, dude, like, there's no way that's actually gonna happen. If that happens, I will personally buy a MAGA hat and wear it for like an entire week on stream. I will do that. You can clip this. I will literally wear it for an entire week on stream. Because there's no way. God, this fucking idiot. Awesome lesbian couple, an evil and dark, intimidating hawk. Holy shit. So instead of giving this back to the taxpayers and everything like that, why don't instead they go ahead and give make Elon Musk pay his fair share in taxes? So that's really where the income inequality really starts to show itself, is where they don't have to pay taxes. Or where when they don't pay taxes, the income that they would normally be paying in taxes is not used for our actual infrastructure. You want to know why roads have potholes? You want to know why your fucking school classrooms are 30 kids deep? Is because they don't pay their fucking taxes. That's the main problem here. At 4:30, Leland Dudek's boss put him on leave for helping Doge find fraud. They wanted to fire me, he wrote. I confess I helped Doge understand the SSA. Within hours, it was his boss who was fired, and a longtime SSA waste watcher was elevated to lead the whole agency. Oh my god. Shut up. Who are you talking to? Do you think a depressed person could make this? No. Agreed. Yeah, it's actually like fundamentally insane. Here, let me do this again. Speaking of Doge and their wild conspiracies that they've magically uncovered and are now claiming to give $5,000 to every taxpayer or whatever the fuck, let's go ahead and look at Trump and Musk having a three-way with Sean Hannity live on Fox News.
So he's working for free with Doge. He's kind of put a lot of his life on hold. And you sued Twitter a number of years ago. You just made him pay you $10 million?
That's right. That's right.
That's right.
Well,
That's right.
I sued from long before he had it.
Yeah.
And I mean, they really did a number on me, you know. And I sued, and they had to pay. They paid $10 million.
Why though? Why'd you sue him? What was the reason for the lawsuit? Hold on, let's just look it up real quick. Why did Trump file a lawsuit against Twitter? Oh, it was for banning him after the January 6th attack on the Capitol, according to one person familiar with the matter. The settlement was for about $10 million, the person said, speaking on the condition of anonymity to discuss the confidential agreement. Some of the money was expected to go to Trump's legal fees, with the balance directed to his future presidential library. It's the latest instance of a large corporation agreeing to make large payments to the president to settle litigation, as Trump threatened retribution on his critics and rivals. The Wall Street Journal was the first to report of the settlement. X didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. Musk, who bought Twitter in 2022 and renamed it to X, spent more than $200 million helping boost Trump's 2024 presidential effort and has joined the administration to lead Trump's effort to radically shrink and transform the federal bureaucracy. So that's why.
No settlement.
You're okay with that?
I mean, I left it up to the lawyers and you know the team running Twitter. So I said, you guys do what you think is the right. It makes sense.
I think it's funny.
I think it's a very low. I was looking to get much more money than that.
So you gave him a discount when the lawsuit.
He got a he got a big discount. I don't think he even knows about it.
He's become one of your, if you read and believe the media, he's become one of your best friends. He's working for free for you.
Well, I love the president. I just want to be clear about that.
You don't care about that.
I know. I love the president.
You love the president.
I think President Trump is a good man, and he's, you know.
It's nice the way he said that, you know.
Hold on, it's a glazing suckfest here.
There's something nice about it.
It really is. You know.
He's a great guy as he's letting me steal the American citizens' information as I access the Social Security Administration, where I don't have any sort of requirement for security clearance or oversight by any sort of congressional committee whatsoever. So we don't know exactly what he's doing, but hey, all he's got for us is, trust me, bro, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just taking it.
I mean, The president's been so unfairly attacked in the media. It's really outrageous. And I've at this point spent a lot of time with the president, and not once have I seen him do something that was mean or cruel or wrong. Not once.
You know, I've known.
Coming from the guy, who came from apartheid South Africa. Coming from the guy who gave a speech at AfD, the alternative for Germany's far-right party. Coming from the guy who unbanned a swarm of neo-Nazi and white supremacist accounts on Twitter. Coming from the guy who said that the Holocaust didn't happen and the Jews had it coming. Remember that.
I've known him for 30 years.
Yeah.
And I've never seen anybody take as much as he's taken.
Yeah.
And we've discussed this, and I'm like, how do you deal with it?
Did I have a choice?
Well, you would say that to me.
Don't want to get hit, don't talk shit.
I'm like, what am I going to do? Worry about it? And, you know, and then culminating in 2 assassination attempts, which resulted in your endorsement.
Well, I was going to do it anyway, but that was
it.
Precipitating event, yes.
That speeded it up a little bit?
Yeah.
The day of the assassination.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It sped it up.
Oh, yeah. His ear that was shot
But
right
I was
here.
going to do it anyway.
Huh. I'm not saying, I'm not denying it. I'm just saying it just looks fine.
I'm convinced that people only know a little bit.
Must have a great
about
plastic
Elon.
surgeon.
I don't think they know everything about Elon, because as I studied and prepared for this interview, I learned a lot about you that I didn't know. I think people will think about Tesla. Democrats are demonizing you and trying to make the country hate you. I just want people to understand you a little bit better, and the person that you've gotten to know and have now put a lot of trust in.
Sure.
And, you know, just let's go over a little bit of your bio, starting with PayPal and how you became involved in Tesla and SpaceX and Neuralink and all
Take
these.
a while. I mean, you know, I think the way you think of me is like I'm a technologist, and I try to make technologies that improve the world and make life better.
Your shirt.
Yeah, and that's why I like my T-shirt says tech support, because I'm here to provide the president with technology support. And now that may seem like, well, is that a silly thing? But actually, it's a very important thing, because the president will make these executive orders, which are very sensible and good for the country, but then they don't get implemented. You know, so. If you take, for example, all the funding for the migrant hotels, the president issued an executive order where, hey, we need to stop taking taxpayer money and paying for luxury hotels for illegal immigrants, which makes no sense. Like, so obviously, people do not want their tax dollars going to fund high-end hotels for.
Hold on. Let's just go ahead and debunk this real quick. Fact Focus, FEMA funding to New York City to assist migrants is misrepresented. Elon Musk posted on Monday that the so-called Department of Government Efficiency he heads has uncovered millions of dollars being spent illegally by FEMA to house migrants in New York City. He said that the money was meant for the American Disaster Relief and was wrongly spent for high-end hotels. The claim, which has spread widely on social media, led FEMA's acting director to suspend payments sent to house migrants in New York City and the firing Tuesday for 4 federal employees. But the post misrepresents the funding. FEMA's role is dispersing it and how it's being used. Here's a look at the facts. Claim FEMA spent $59 million just last week, to luxury hotels in New York City to house illegal migrants. Sending this money violated the law and is insubordination to the president's executive order. That money is meant for American disaster relief and is instead being spent on high-end hotels. FEMA does not spend the money directly to New York hotels. It does administer money on behalf of the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, authorized by Congress in the 2023 Shelter and Services Program. It was created to support local governments and non-government organizations that provide support for non-citizens released by immigration authorities, according to the FEMA website. The money is separate from the disaster relief funds. The office of Mayor Eric Adams It said on Monday it received 2 payments from the federal government related to migrant assistance last week, totaling over $80.5 million. One payment was for $58.6 million, and the other was for $21.9 million under 2 tranches of the Shelter and Services Program Act. City spokesperson Liz Garcia said the money covered reimbursements for services delivered between November 2023 and October 2024 and included reimbursement for hotel, security, food, and other costs, about $19 million in reimbursement claims for the hotel's costs, she said. Garcia said the city has never paid luxury rates for hotels. That's backed up by a report last year from the city comptroller, Brad Lander, who is now running for mayor in a bid to unseat Adams, which showed that the municipal government has paid an average of $152 a night for rooms, the vast majority outside of Manhattan. Some Manhattan rooms were around $200 per night, but that's not a luxury rate. Rates for 5 Stars Hotel in Manhattan for this upcoming weekend run between $400 and well over $1,000. The Shelter and Services Program, also known as the SSP, administered by FEMA in the partnership with the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, under a Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2023, Congress appropriated $650 million for the program in the fiscal year 2024 to provide financial support to non-federal entities. Of that, $640.9 million was to support sheltering and related activities provided by non-federal entities in support of relieving overcrowding in the short-term holding facilities of U.S. Border Protections, Customs and Border Protections. So, not only is the FEMA money that was already appropriated by Congress in the Shelters Act, it's not even going towards just random migrants. These are people who have been caught by the Border Protection Agency and then gone ahead and released into these hotels. So, because they don't have the infrastructure to house all of these people. So the money that he's talking about in this clip that I'm showing you is just completely blown out of proportion and not true. Why the fuck? Why am I the one saying this to people? Where the fuck are the videos on this? Where the fuck is any Democrat coming out and saying, that's not right? So when Kathy Hochul comes out and says, oh, Trump is not a king and we will not allow him to control congestion pricing, why is that the only statement that she's made and nothing about this? This is something that's very easy, a slam dunk. Just go ahead and propose this. Say this. Nope. Nothing. Absolute fucking silence. Just to continue on, the remaining $9.1 million was for FEMA's administration costs. According to the American Immigration Council, the Shelter and Services Program provided reimbursements to state and local governments and nonprofits in 35 different communities in the fiscal years of 2023 and 2024. Numerous social media posts and some news reports claim that the money should be used to help victims of Hurricane Helene, which devastated parts of western North Carolina. But the funds for disaster assistance are administered separately. Yael Schachter, the director of Americas and Europe's Refugees International, agreed that Musk is likely referring to the Shelter and Services Program and said that there is no substance to his claim that the money for disaster victims is being given to migrants, as each fund is appropriated separately by Congress. It is absolutely correct to say that these funds would not have gone to disaster relief if they hadn't gone to the SSP program, she explained. The funds just wouldn't have been appropriated by Congress at all. The Shelter and Services Program is a separate line item in the federal budget and does not draw from FEMA's Disaster Relief Fund. She continued, Congress specifically set aside funding for FEMA to administer the Shelter and Services Program, ensuring that it does not pull any resources from FEMA's other work. Congress has authorized 140 times more funding for the Disaster Relief Fund than for the Shelters and Services Program, according to the American Immigration Council. Satcher added that grants for the later program have strict cost requirements for how the money should be spent. 4 federal employees, FEMA's chief financial officer, 2 program analysts, and a grant specialist were fired Tuesday over the payments to reimburse New York City's Department of Homeland Security, officials said. The workers are accused of circumventing the leadership to make the transactions. Officials did not give details on how the 4 had violated any specific policies. Cameron Hamilton, acting FEMA administrator, said that the payments had been made by the employees were suspended. In court documents filed Tuesday, Hamilton said the administration yanked funding from the Shelter and Services Program because concerns that the money was facilitating illegal activities at a Manhattan hotel used to house migrants. Hamilton's comments came as part of a lawsuit seeking to block the Trump administration's freeze on federal grants and loans. The freeze, just days into the administration, threw states, communities, and organizations that rely on federal funding into mass confusion and was rescinded 2 days later. The U.S. District Judge John McConnell in Rhode Island ruled on Wednesday that the government's bid to withhold FEMA money sent to New York to house migrants was not subject to an order still in effect that's aimed at preventing a sweeping Trump administration pause on federal funding. So, all right. So we've debunked that claim that the hotels for illegal immigrants that were paying for luxury hotels. That's already been debunked. Let's try to debunk some more.
And yet they were still doing that, even as late as last week. And so, you know, we went in there and we're like, this is in violation of the presidential executive order. And
a presidential executive order is not a law. Remember that. It's not a law.
Needs to stop. So what we're doing here is one of the biggest functions of the DOGE team is just making sure that the presidential executive orders are actually carried out. And this is, I just want to point out, this is a very important thing because the president is the elected representative of the people. So he's representing the will of the people. And if the bureaucracy is fighting the will of the people and preventing the president from implementing what the people want, then what we live in is a bureaucracy and not a democracy.
Okay, so then let's go ahead and look at this another way. You, sir, are a bureaucrat at the current moment. In your current role under the Trump administration, you yourself are a bureaucrat. That's what you are. To say that you're not is either a lie and disingenuous. So what you're saying here, it can be applied to you as well. The laws, these are actual laws, these are the budget laws approved by Congress previously, have to be followed since they are already signed into law. Your administration, or Trump's administration, and Trump being an executor of that administration, does not automatically and without due diligence wipe away any sort of laws that were previously passed. Again, if you want to stop federally funding these programs, where's the bill? Where is the bill? Show me the bill. And I will gladly shut the fuck up and say, okay, yeah, it's legal. The executive order does not give him the privilege of following laws that he wishes to follow.
You're both aware, you have to be keenly aware, that the media and the punditry class, not that, you know, I think you've proven they have no power anymore because they threw everything they had at you and they didn't win. And that was, you know, the New York Times, Washington Post, 3 networks, every late night comedy show, 2 cable channels. They just threw everything, lawfare, weaponization.
Sure.
And now I see they want you two to start, they want a divorce. They want you two to start hating each other. And they try, President Elon Musk, for example. You do know that they're doing that to you.
Oh, I see it all the time. They tried it, then they stopped. That wasn't. They have many different things of hatred. Actually, Elon called me. He said, you know, they're trying to drive us apart. I said, absolutely. You know, they said, we have breaking news. Donald Trump has ceded control of the presidency to Elon Musk. President Musk will be attending a cabinet meeting tonight at 8 o'clock. And I say, it's just so obvious. They're so bad at it. I used to think they were good at it. They're actually bad at it, because if they were good at it, I'd never be president. Because I think nobody in history has ever gotten more bad publicity than me. I could do the greatest things.
No,
I get
man.
98%.
That's something that the Democrats just don't understand. Bad publicity is still publicity. They're still reading it. They're still paying attention. That's part of the problem.
Bad publicity. I could do, outside of you and a few of your very good friends, it's like the craziest thing. But you know what I have learned, Elon? The people are smart. They get it.
Yeah, they do, actually.
They get it. They really see what's happening.
Yes.
No, dude, they don't.
At the end of this interview, what I would like is I want people to know the relationship and know more about you. What is the relationship, Mr. President?
Well, I respect him. I've always respected him. I never knew that he was right on
I love his
certain
money.
things, and I'm usually pretty good at this stuff. He did.
And Sean Hannity get his drool off.
He did things
get
that
the
were
drool
so
off his chin
advanced
at
that
least.
nobody knew
No.
what the hell they were. I can tell you, in
No,
North
he can't.
Carolina, they had no communication. They were wiped out. Those people were, you know, they had rivers in between. Land that never saw water, all of a sudden it was a river and a vicious, like rapids. People were dying all over. They had no communication. They said, "You know Elon Musk?" They didn't really know I knew him. I said, "Yeah." He said, "Could you get Starlink?" It's like the first time I ever heard of it. I said, "What's Starlink?" A communication system. That's unbelievable.
I have it.
Yeah, and he said, I called him and I said, "Listen, they really need it." And he got like thousands of units of this communication, and it saved a lot of lives. He got it immediately, and you can't get it. I mean, you have to wait a long time to get it.
Yeah, and then he made him pay for subscriptions for it.
But he got it to him immediately, and I
Hold on, hold on. Let me look it up. Starlink sent to North Carolina. Following Hurricane Helene, Starlink units were sent to North Carolina, but residents still needed to purchase a subscription to access the internet service, even though some initial period of free service was offered by SpaceX as part of the disaster relief efforts, meaning the Starlink hardware was provided. Users still needed to sign up for a paid subscription to utilize the internet connection. It's not like he just gave it away out of the goodness of his heart. No, he was just like, "Oh, dude, this is a great money-making opportunity. Why the fuck wouldn't I do this?"
I said, "That's pretty amazing," and I didn't even know he had it. We watched the rocket ships, and we watch Tesla.
dumbass.
I think, you know, something that had an effect on me was when I saw the rocket ship come back and get grabbed, like you grab a beautiful little baby. You grab your baby. It just
hug the rocket.
I've never seen.
Right, everyone needs a hug, including rockets. You know?
No, but. And he said, you know, you can't really have a rocket program if you're going to dump $1 billion into the ocean every time you fly. You have to save it.
Right.
And he saved it. First time that I've ever seen that done. Now, nobody else can do it. If you look at the U.S., Russia, or China, they can't do it. And they won't be able to do it for a long time. He has the technology. So you learn,
Yes, we gutted the United States Space Agency and provided all of the funding for the United States Space Agency to Elon Musk. That's what we did. All of the funding that was originally for NASA, we shrunk that down to a minimal size, provided corporate socialism to SpaceX, and provided them with the billions and billions of dollars that they receive in corporate subsidies every single year.
wanted somebody really smart.
Yay.
To work with me in terms of the country, a very important aspect. Because, I mean, he doesn't talk about it. He's actually a very good businessman. And when he talks about the executive orders, and this is probably true for all presidents, you write an executive order and you think it's done. You send it out. It doesn't get done. It doesn't get implemented. They don't implement it. Maybe they're from the last administration, and they are in some cases.
Yes.
You try and get them out as fast as you can.
They don't get implemented because they're illegal.
But I could, as soon as he said that, I said, you know, that's interesting. You write a beautiful executive and you sign it and you assume it's going to be done, but it's not. What he does is he takes it, and with his 100 geniuses, he's got some very brilliant young people working for him that dress Much worse than him, actually.
Yeah,
They dress in just T-shirts. You wouldn't know they have 180 IQ.
Wait a minute. So he's your tech support.
No, he is.
I actually
but
literally
he's
am
much
tech
more
support.
than that.
I
Yeah.
literally am tech support, though. But
But he gets it done. He's a leader.
Yeah.
He really is. He gets it done. You get a lot of tech people, and you have people that are good with tech, but he gets it done. You know, I said in real estate, you had guys that would draw beautiful renderings of a building, and they'd draw the rendering. It would be great, and you say, great, when are you starting? But they were never able to get it built. They couldn't get the financing. They couldn't get the approvals. It would never get done. And then you have other guys that are able to get it done. You know, they could just get it done. I was in real estate. Same thing in this. He gets it done. So when he said that, he said, you know, when you sign these executive orders, a lot of them don't get done, and maybe the most important ones. And he would take that executive order that I'd sign, and he would have those people go to whatever agency it was. When are you doing it? Get it done, get it done. And some guy that maybe didn't want to do it, all of a sudden, he's signing. He just...
Again, like, do you understand what he just said there? So, like, he would sign an executive order, and then he would have Elon Musk and his cronies, or his, I guess, twinks, go ahead and make them follow it. He is not part of the government. He is not an authorized person to go out there and be like, you know what, Department of Education, you need to follow X, Y, and Z. That's what you need to do. You need to go follow X, Y, and Z. And if you're not following this, we're going to shut your ass down until you follow it. Okay, sure, okay. But again, if the executive order is illegal, no one has to follow it because it's an illegal order. You can't just follow orders. We stopped that in World War II, or did you forget?
Doesn't want to be bothered.
Do a lot of those executive orders have to be codified into law? You need the Republican Congress
and
to
they
follow
will be.
up?
A lot of them will be, yeah.
They will.
But look, in the meantime, we have 4 years. The beauty is we have 4 years. That's why I like doing it right at the beginning, because an executive order is great. I mean, the one problem, it's both good and bad, because when they did all these executive orders, I've canceled most of them. They were terrible. I mean, we're going to go radical left communist. Okay, it was crazy. Their executive orders were so bad.
wish.
If they ever got them codified, you'd
Where
never
is
be
my
able to break 'em.
communism?
So the damage that Biden has done to this country, and it's not even Biden, it's the people that circled him in the Oval Office, okay? But the damage they did to this country, in terms of, let's say, open borders, you know, there's so many things, but open borders where millions of people poured into our country, and hundreds of thousands of those people are criminals. They're murderers, they're drug dealers, they're gang members, they're people from prisons from all over the world. And we have a great guy, Tom Homan, and he is doing so incredibly. You saw the numbers, they're now like 96%.
95%.
He is a phenomenal guy. And Kristi Noem is doing an unbelievable job. And he wanted her, he said, she's so tough. And I said, I don't think of her as that way. You know, she's very nice. He said, no, she's so tough. And she is. I see with the horses, she's riding the horse. Let's go. She's great. But the team we have is really unbelievable. But those executive orders, I sign them, and now they get passed on to him and his group and other people, and they're all getting done. We're getting them done.
Let me go back a little bit to your background, because it's beyond impressive. You were the chief engineer, for example. You were an early believer in Tesla. You became the CEO, and then the chief engineer, which was phenomenal. SpaceX, same thing, which is unbelievable. I mean, you were the first company, private company, to send astronauts successfully into space. First private company to send astronauts into orbit.
Yeah.
That's pretty deep.
He's going to go into orbit soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, he's going to go to Mars. He's
Starlink
at some point.
Huh?
Yeah.
Is in
I mean, they say they always ask me, like, do you want to die on Mars? And I say, well, yes, but not on impact.
Starlink is in 100 countries. This is going to be hard. I feel like I'm interviewing two brothers here.
You go ahead.
Star Shield, which could be used for national defense.
Yeah, it is already being used for national defense.
Then you have a, what is it called? Optimus, a part of Tesla.
The robot, yeah.
A robotic arm. Then you have an AI arm. And then you have something that really fascinated me. And it's
brain
called
chips?
Neuralink.
Yes.
Yep, the brain chip.
You might help the blind to see,
Yes.
and people with spinal cord injuries, that they can recover, where in the past, How close is that to becoming a success?
Neuralink, we've implanted Neuralink in 3 patients so far who are quadriplegics, and it allows them to directly control their phone and computer just using their mind, just by thinking. It's like, so we call this product telepathy. So you control your computer and phone just by thinking, and it's possible to actually control the computer and phone faster than someone who has working hands. Then the next step would be to add a second Neuralink implant past the point where the neurons damaged, so that somebody can walk again, and so they can have full body functionality restored. And
you like Bobby, right?
I like Bobby, actually. Yeah, I think I supported Bobby Kennedy. I think he's unfairly maligned as someone who is anti-science, but I think he isn't. He just wants to question the science, which is the essence of the science. The scientific method fundamentally is about always questioning the science.
Well, they didn't tell us the truth about COVID.
Correct.
That's for sure.
Yes.
And we learned a lot with the Twitter files. And that just then raises a question. You're the richest man in the world. You may not like that part.
Yeah, the Twitter files, the completely like fundamental thing that was wrong with Twitter, and how they released files and information saying that we should censor specific accounts and things like that because of, misinformation and lying. Yeah, that's a bad thing.
You're pretty competitive.
Neither here nor there.
I've known you a long time. But
that's why.
But he's on your team. Well, that's true. He can't top that.
He's good. I wanted to find somebody smarter than him. I searched all over. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't.
You really tried hard.
I couldn't find anyone smarter, right? So we had it for the country.
But this is the thing.
He looked kind of shocked there. He's like, "What do you mean? Wait, you've tried to find somebody else? I paid for your election, dickhead."
We settled on this.
Well, thanks for having me.
So,
I'm just trying to be useful.
This is the interesting. This is where we are as a society, and I hate to do this to you, but I'm going to do it anyway. You're doing all of these things. Nobody at Doge gets paid a penny, correct?
Well, actually, some people are federal employees.
Okay. They're helping.
But it's fair to say that the software engineers at Doge could be earning millions of dollars a year, and instead of earning a small fraction of that as federal employees.
Okay, so
and they're very committed people.
So
yes.
Yeah, because they know at the end game, when they have all of that data, they can go ahead and do whatever the fuck they want with it.
You're committed
They
to
see
helping
the end
blind see people with spinal cord injuries recover.
Yes.
You're committed to getting to Mars. You're committed to rescue. You're going to help rescue next month 2 astronauts that I think were abandoned. They dispute that in an interview.
At the president's request, or instruction, we are accelerating the return of the astronauts, which was postponed kind of to a ridiculous degree.
They got left in space.
No, god damn it. They didn't have the rocket ready to go get them. Like, that was the problem. It was on SpaceX. All right, hold on. Let's go ahead and debunk that. Astronauts, I can't spell astronauts, but astronauts stuck in space. Two astronauts that are still stranded on the International Space Station, including Massachusetts native Sunita Williams, may be home earlier than expected. The astronauts have been stuck on the ISS since June due to problems with their spacecraft, Boeing Starliner. The problems included helium leaks in the propulsion system and the failure of 5 thrusters. 4 of the thrusters were restored and 1 was turned off for the rest of the mission. Williams has connection to Cape Cod. Her sister lives in Florida, blah, 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 blah. So March 12th is when they're going to go get them. The original date was originally in mid-June, but was delayed back in December, and the mission was originally scheduled for April 2025. Boeing Starliner departed Earth on June 5th of 2024 in a mission that was only supposed to be a brief one. The mission was originally scheduled to be 8 days, but the return had been delayed 3 times. Was the astronauts yeah, so it was because the spaceship got delayed and the spaceship broke down. They couldn't go pick them up. It's not like you can just be like, oh yeah, just send a different car to go get them.
They've been there. They were supposed to be there 8 days. They're there almost 300.
Biden.
They were put, yes, they were left up there for political reasons, which is not good.
Okay, it's not good. Now, if I
Political
had the weight
reasons?
and the pressure of doing that successfully on my shoulders, I think I'd be, you know. But when we spoke before we did this interview, you are very confident. You think this will be a successful mission.
Well, we don't want to be complacent, but we have brought astronauts back from the space station many times before, and always with success. So, as long as we're not complacent.
When are you going to launch?
I think it's about 4 weeks to bring them back.
About 4 weeks?
Yeah.
And
we're being extremely cautious. Yeah.
You now have the go-ahead.
Yes. Well, thanks to you.
They didn't have the go-ahead with Biden.
We now have the go-ahead since we've now removed any sort of FAA regulations. Because I actually went and fired all of the FFA regulators that were in charge of me or yelling at me for not putting a spacecraft in air when unauthorized. Because, you know, bad things can happen when you do that.
He was going to leave him in space. I think he was going to leave him
Hold on.
in space.
Let me just also do this. We can go ahead and fact check that as well. SpaceX sued for FAA proposes $6,330,009 in civil penalties against SpaceX for a mission that was unauthorized launch. And then Elon fires FAA. FAA as airplanes fall out of the sky, FAA fires hundreds and brings in Elon Musk. So there's no conflict of interest here whatsoever. They're just firing hundreds of FAA workers, and while he's also being sued by the FAA.
Well, it's like
Wonder why that happened.
Growing up, lost in space.
Yeah, he didn't want the publicity. Can you believe it?
Unbelievable. And so I want to echo something that the president said and then ask an overarching question. So people get hit with Hurricane Helene. They have no communication with the outside world. You come to the rescue. You donated that, I believe?
Yes.
Okay. You donated to the people.
He saved a lot of lives in North Carolina. He saved a lot of lives.
And California after the wildfires?
California, but I mean in North Carolina where they were really in trouble. They had no communication. People were dying. They were dying of starvation. He saved a lot of lives in North Carolina.
Okay. Now,
what about the groups that were hunting FEMA workers in North Carolina? FEMA workers threatened in North Carolina. In October 2024, FEMA workers in North Carolina were threatened. The agency temporarily adjusted its operations. The threats were a part of a wave of misinformation about FEMA's response to Hurricane Helene. On October 12th, FEMA became aware of a threat to its staff. FEMA temporarily stopped sending disaster assistance teams to neighborhoods to knock on doors. Instead, teams were stationed at neighborhood locations. William Jacob Parsons was arrested and charged with making threats against FEMA employees. Parsons was found with a handgun and a rifle at a supermarket where federal aid was parked. FEMA resumed door-to-door visits a few days after. FEMA made these operational changes to keep personnel safe. So, yeah, they had to pull out somewhat of locations because they were being threatened after Donald Trump had said that there was part of some sort of like wild conspiracy theory that the FEMA was not providing them any aid.
now you're going to rescue astronauts.
So why were they possibly being starved. I don't know.
And now,
again, context, nuance.
You do all of
Crazy.
this. I would think liberals would love the fact that you have the biggest electric vehicle company in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I used to be adored by the left, you know.
Yeah, not anymore.
Less so these days.
He killed that, huh?
I mean, less so.
I really did it.
Well, I mean, this whole sort of like, you know, they call it like Trump derangement syndrome. And I didn't, you know, you don't realize how real this is until like you can't reason with people. So like I was at a friend's birthday party in LA, just a birthday dinner, and it was like a nice, quiet dinner, and everyone was behaving normally. And I happened to mention, this is before the election, like a month or two before, I happened to mention the president's name. And it was like they got shot with a dart in the jugular that contained like methamphetamine and rabies, okay? And they're like, wow! And I'm like, what is wrong? Guys, like, you just can't have like a normal conversation. Yeah. And it's like they become completely irrational.
He has no idea, but if you're friends with him, you pay a price. You know, it's like I walk in a restaurant in New York and it's like,
because buying his merch, buying his shoes, buying his clothes, buying everything of Trump's is not Trump derangement syndrome. Criticizing him is, though.
Half the room gets daggers and they want to.
No, the eye daggers level is insane. Yeah. I mean, there was like I had like some invitation.
I wonder why.
Because I got invited to like basically a big sort of damn event like that was, but it received the invitation like the beginning of last year, and I still attended even after I'd endorsed President Trump, and I didn't realize how profoundly that would affect, you know, how I was received. I mean, I walk into the room and I'm getting just the dirty looks from everyone. Like, if looks could kill, I would have been dead several times over.
But that was not
before Trump, BT. Ashes on the floor.
Before Trump, that never happened, right?
No.
Insane. So again, that was just a big misinformation suckfest for obviously the nation's most watched news station, Fox News. A total and complete suckfest where obviously Sean Hannity, every time they had to cut, obviously had to wipe the drool off of his mouth and everything like that. So yeah, I mean, that's just, you know, over the last couple days that this has happened. And it's very clear that, you know, that it's just going to continue to get worse. And there's no actual hope for any sort of break or change in these programs whatsoever. So all we can really do is just stay on top of it, keep watching, and hopefully we stay diligent in our fact-checking ability as long as we have it. As long as puff pieces and we stop coming out so much and everything like that. And hopefully we actually get some goddamn left leadership to go ahead and actually correct the record and make it known like, hey, these guys are doing things that are constantly illegal. There's so much illegal shit going on, we can't do anything about it. That's the message that we're getting from the left at this current moment. So yeah, I mean, hopefully we can keep an eye on things, and we can kind of go from there. Well, if you have watched this, I do appreciate it. Please make sure to follow if you're on Twitch. Make sure to go ahead and subscribe if you're on YouTube.